What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? You are on the sidelines with the Sideline guys. I'm Chris, and I'm joined once again by the GOAT host, the OG, my guy, Derrick. How's it going, man?
What's good, bro? How you doing?
Doing great, man. I'm so excited. My
Yeah.
Thunder have a chance. There's nothing
Hey,
more.
bro.
It's not more intoxicating in the sports world than hope. When you have that little bit of hope, you got a
Bro,
lot
I
to
got a
chew on, man.
chance and you have a lot of assets.
Yes,
It's a
sir.
lot going on.
It's free money. It's free money. You know, sometimes you
Yeah.
you got an extra 20 to throw at the who knows, maybe we get an upset round one and things start getting crazy. But we got to get there, right? There's still tomorrow,
Yes,
so
sir.
looking forward to that for
Yes,
sure.
sir.
But we got a packed rundown today. We got a lot of stuff, all things NBA, right? Like it's going to be the
Yes,
NBA
sir.
Super Show today. Really looking forward to diving into all the different storylines. There's so many things to talk about. But first and foremost, we're gonna have some fun here because that's what we do on the
Yes,
sideline,
sir.
guys. We're gonna play a little nickname game. So we're gonna be going back and forth. We're gonna give one of our favorite NBA players nicknames and why we enjoy that nickname, and we can have a little discussion about it. But we'll keep tossing back and forth until one of us is stumped and we don't have any more names to discuss. And then
Yes,
whoever
sir.
loses loses. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yes, sir.
And I'll pitch it to you. I'm gonna make you start off this one. So whenever you're ready.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, so I'm gonna give you my absolute favorite. And I guarantee this is not going to be number one on most lists of NBA nicknames, right? But it's my absolute favorite. Um, the truth, Paul Pierce, and it's you know, Shaq gave it to him. I think like his third year in league, and um, it just stuck. And the way he played, it's like that's all you can really say is that he was the truth, right? Like he's not the flashiest guy out there athletically. Um, he's kind of had like a slow game to him a little bit too. Like, but it's just the truth that like his game was just it was just this. So that's my absolute favorite of all time. Because it just it's so marketable.
Yeah, I was gonna say you love a nickname that not only fits the player and what they do, but also gives a lot of room for the commentators to fuck with. Like whenever
Yeah,
they get, there's a lot of ways you could enter that in. So I agree, man. The
yeah,
truth is definitely a good one, but of course you got to go Homer off the top, right? You love it. Off the
yeah. I guess
top,
so.
for me,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get wacky. First one, I gotta get wacky, off rip. So I know this is probably never made a broadcast, but to this day, one of the most memorable moments for me watching the draft. Right, I'm someone that watches as much draft content as I get the day of. Shout out to
Mm-hmm.
my guy Tingus Pingus for Kristaps Porzingis. I hope you remember that rant from a Knicks fan, and bruh, that moment just lives in
Yo.
infamy. So Tingus Pingus is always a golden nickname for sure.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. I'm as so his was the unicorn, right? Did
Mhm.
that actually stick, or is that like just one of the many nicknames?
It stuck for sure. That's more like the broadcast nickname for sure.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think once he kind of left the Knicks, though, that kind of left him as well.
I
But
think so. Yeah, after the
mhm,
injuries. Yeah.
definitely. But gotta go Tingus Pingus.
Tingus Pingus is hilarious, bro.
Who the fuck
My
is this? Tingus Pingus. He was so mad. Oh, it was great. Shout out Rappaport, man.
yeah, yeah. Oh man, I haven't seen him in a minute. Um, okay, my other favorite, the top favorite is actually the Black Mamba. It's like when once one and it was weird too because that wasn't his moniker in the beginning, but like he switched it when he switched to 24, and it just kind of it took on a life of its own, right? Like it's one of those that Mamba mentality and all that stuff. Another marketable nickname. Um, but I think one of the times where this kind of like solidified had nothing to do with him on the court for me. When he jumped over that whole pool of snakes, I okay. I know for a while the one with the Aston Martin, you could tell that was fake, right?
Mhm.
The snakes though, like I think that one kind of like when I saw it for the first time, it was like one of those things I was just like I was sitting there like there's no way he just did that. But then I was like at the same time kind of safe too because if he it's not like one of those things that you can't get away from because it's not like
Exactly.
it wasn't like one of those backyard pools like in ground. It was yeah, if you hit the side of it, you can still roll out and get away from the snake if you need to. So you know, I loved it, man. I loved it. So I that nickname all around to me is one of my favorites. But yeah, I just say right at the Paul Pierce. I'm not sure if it's gonna be in order, but I'm just gonna give it to you. I
I
think that's
love it.
one of my favorite ones too.
I love it, man. That it defined his legacy, right? Like Mamba
Right.
mentality is something that definitely lives on. And you love a good rebrand, right? Sometimes you gotta,
Yeah.
sometimes moments define you, right? And then that's who you are. But then
Yeah.
you gotta make your own name, right? And he definitely earned it by that point in his career for sure to have that rebrand. And yeah, I agree. Black Mamba's epic.
Okay, so let me ask you this though. Because this is where I never got it. I don't think I picked up on this. Where did that come from? Because
It's a good question.
when it comes to nicknames, you can't just give yourself a nickname, can you? Unless
I
it
think you
sticks.
can. I think you can. Um I don't know. I haven't heard any story of like someone calling him that first. So I don't know. I really do feel like that was self-created. I'm
I
interested
think so
to look
too.
into that now though.
Yeah, I would love to know the origin of that one because that's one of those that did a great job. Like, I mean, I saw someone actually on Bleacher Report because I went back to kind of like look into nicknames just to get an idea of what was what. Bleacher Report did an article. I want to say it was like 2010 or 11, and they did a ranking of like 100 nicknames. I think at that time, or at that time, and like maybe within that last decade, and they ranked they ranked Colby at 75
That's ridiculous.
and said that that nickname was probably the if I'm wording this correctly, I think they said it was like the silliest nickname ever or the corniest one ever. And that it would be a good name for a shoe.
It was, right?
It was that's what I thought. So I don't know, man. I think and as we're going through this list, I'm kind of getting upset because you and I talked about this off air, but nicknames aren't like a thing anymore. Like when did we stop with nicknames for players? I know for like in the combat arena for boxing and MMA, nicknames are huge. Like they still go. But in basketball, it seems like nicknames aren't as big anymore. Do you pick
I
up on that
agree.
too?
I don't know what it is. I think a lot of people do have nicknames. They're just corny. Like they make sense
Yeah.
for a reason, right? Like
Yeah.
a couple come to mind that I'll hold on to for the sake of this competition. But
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I agree. I think a lot of people like they definitely get referred to as their nickname, but they just don't stick and they are, if anything, they're way more like simple than Black Mamba. Like you hear Black Mamba is actually elaborate. A
Right.
couple of the next ones that we might have coming down the line of players that are still playing now, they're simple as fuck, one word, and it defines
Yeah.
them, right? You know them as that, but it isn't the same. It isn't the same.
Right. Right.
And that's
Yeah.
a perfect segue too, because my next name
Awesome.
is legendary, legendary. White chocolate, Jason Williams.
Oh yeah. Awesome.
It's a thing. You're gonna be a sore thumb no matter what. If you're the white dude on the court, everyone sort of like, damn, white boy's cooking if you cooking, and if you're
Yeah.
not, they're gonna be like, damn, get white boy off the court. So the fact that he was just cold and everyone respected him as well, and the things he could do with the ball, passing and dribbling, just such a fun player to watch. And
Yeah.
love me some white chocolate, man. Let's get it.
Pause.
Hey,
Um
hey, walk myself into that one.
yeah, man. All right, so the next one I'm gonna say is actually Magic.
That was on my list too. Nice.
Is it? Yeah, Magic. That one for the longest time I didn't even know his name wasn't Magic.
Me too. Irvin.
Isn't it? Irvin. That was like when I first heard, I was like, stop, like. But
For
it's
real.
interesting when someone's nickname actually becomes their name.
Hmm.
So that one to me, I think is probably that's just marketability with a lot of these, but that one is phenomenal as well. So I'm gonna go Magic on that one.
I love that one. I got to go with the Celtics legend with the next one. Give me the big ticket, baby. I'm
Yeah,
not sure if that was the nickname before he got to Boston. I'm not sure, but it fits, right? It fits.
I believe it was when he was still in Minnesota too.
Nice. Okay.
I believe so. Yeah, but
But
if
yeah, I
not,
think what I think he really changed the game as far as like, and you don't see this as much now. I feel like a lot of people, most of the time, if you hear bitching and moaning on the court, it's at the refs. But
yeah.
I think he really started that era of like really talking shit, like to the point, like as
Hmm.
much as you really can, and sort of brought it back when it was needed, right? I feel like
Yeah.
there was some years there where that kind of slipped away. So shout out to KG.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm gonna go another one, man. Probably the most marketable one of all. Probably the most marketable one of all time, honestly. Air Jordan.
Oh man, I didn't even think that counted. Yeah, that's a great one.
Air Jordan. And there's nothing else that needs to be said with that. I mean, that's just the greatest of all time, to be honest.
Yep. This one is a great all-time great. I'm not sure it ever made a broadcast either, but I saw a bunch of Rucker tapes where KD was at the Rucker, and what are they saying over and over again? The Durantula, the Durantula. And obviously at
Yeah.
the time I was a big KD fan too, given he was still in OKC. So just love that nickname and the way it fit his build and everything. Just it should have stuck more than it did for sure.
So why do you think that he shied away from Slim Reaper? Because I thought Slim Reaper was like
It fits him
phenomenal.
very well. Yep,
It
fits him
does.
very well.
It
I don't know,
does.
man. There's something
I
about
never got
Reapers, man.
that.
Bobby Knuckles too. Like Robert
Yeah, yeah.
Whitaker, this man want to call himself the Reaper over
Yeah.
Bobby Knuckles. Like, bro, one of those things are not like the other, bro. Like, you got to
Yeah.
figure. And I know those are the opposites, so sorry, but
No,
yeah,
no, no.
Slim Reaper should be up there, but yeah, for some reason he's like, no, I don't know. Maybe at some point he was super religious or something.
I mean, I also think, well, think about it too. Back then, everyone was getting on him about his frame, right?
True.
And it was like, I know I can understand how, body shaming can be one of those things where we people kind of push back on certain things. But that name was perfect because at the where he was at that time in his game, right? Everyone feared him on the court. Not that they don't now, but like you feared Durant
Mm-hmm. And he
coming
wasn't
to
out
your
there
arena.
really talking shit either, too, right? Like he comes
Nah,
like
he was
Death in the
quiet.
Night, right? Silent Killer,
Yeah,
like that. It
just a
fits
silent
perfectly. I
killer.
agree. Missed opportunities, both of them. I like both of
Big
them though.
time.
I love me some
Yeah,
Durantula too. I feel like, and especially like hearing it on the mic, that you could tell they're
yeah.
outside on a mic, like it hits different. Shout out to the Rucker, man.
No, I always hated Durantula.
Oh, really,
Yeah, I
really?
never liked it. I never liked it. I love Slim Reaper, man, because I mean the dude's a killer. He's a killer, and like you say, quiet. It just fit his persona to me, where he didn't want to talk, he just wanted to go and kill you.
Yeah, I respect it.
That's something else right there. Um, I'm gonna go Zebo.
That's a good one.
Zebo. I don't have any. I'm gonna be honest. I don't have any current players on my list.
Me neither. But we're gonna end up there, right? Right?
I,
Once we start running out, we're gonna end up there for sure.
probably. Yeah, Zebo though, man. I mean, it's just that was another marketable one, just being the big bully in the paint, right? And not I don't think I can't say that he was definitely appreciated for his time, especially with Memphis fans, but I don't know. Well, okay. I think the casual fan didn't appreciate him as much as like the fan that really like paid attention to basketball. Um, but Zebo was phenomenal, man.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. And it kind to me, it kind of sucked when he retired too, because I was like, I kind of thought he had a little more in him,
Hmm.
just depending like coming off the bench and stuff like that. I thought that would have been phenomenal
Yeah.
to lengthen his career, but when it's time. But Zebo, that's
You love a nickname where you're just ubiquitous. That you are
yeah,
now Zebo. It's not Zach
yeah,
Randolph, right? Nobody's calling him
yeah,
Randolph on the broadcast. It's Zebo.
yeah,
And
yeah.
in that
But
same vein, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
oh no, but I was saying, but that's another marketable name, right?
Hmm.
That's another marketable one. Like he's just
That's
that
another one
that
I got a
big bully.
question though. Where does the bow come from?
I don't know. I just thought about
It just
Debo.
works. It just
I
works.
just
Yeah.
thought about Debo, and I figured that's just where the whole name came from,
Makes
of
sense.
being that bully. That was his style. So I like a lot of these guys, a lot of these names actually just fit their style of play,
Hmm.
right? And that was definitely Zach Randolph. So that's who I'm gonna go with.
I like that. I like that. Oh man, in the same, I was gonna go with a different one, but because you said Zebo, I'm going with this one. Shout out to my guy Boogie, DeMarcus Cousins, another
Yeah,
guy that became ubiquitous as that nickname, rather than shouting out his government every time you're on the broadcast.
yeah,
Once again, love me some Boogie. Pause.
yes, yeah. I'm gonna go another one, man. Diesel, Shaq, Superman.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
That's one that and I know anybody that's probably watching this is like, how you have three Lakers up there? You're not talking about any other Celtic. These are the ones that I
Is
just
that
kind of
good?
like. Yeah, I mean, Shaq, like he looked invincible out there.
Mhm.
It's another marketable name. Like it's just like all the ones that I have on my list are for marketing purposes, and they're perfect. Like I'm thinking about it like from a producer standpoint. I don't
Mhm.
know why a lot of these guys didn't like some people, I should say, a lot of some guys didn't go as far with their nicknames as they could have.
For sure. For sure.
You know?
It's funny because we got the same assignment, right? But we just
Yeah.
turned in such different papers. Like a lot of the
Yeah.
lists on mine aren't probably even on the broadcast most of the time, but it's just
Yeah.
known because it's wild. And
Yeah.
given that you just dropped Shaq, right? I might as well drop this one up next. The round mound to rebound. My God, Charles Barkley.
I
Obviously,
never
that's
liked
not one
that.
you embrace, right? That's not one you
Yeah.
embrace.
Yeah.
But once again, it fits in every aspect, right? You can't hate on it too
Yeah.
much
Yeah. I never liked that name, man. I never
because
liked
it's
it. I
kind of
get
like
it.
digging at him, right?
Yeah, but like it's digging at him a little bit, but it's also like dude wasn't round. Like he was he wasn't he wasn't big. I don't know if this came from like high school or whatever, but that
I
one
think it's the
I
head.
never it's the
Pause, but
head.
yeah, it got to be the head.
Big pause. Jeez.
Just
Yeah, I think I I think that one was one of those I always hated. I always
I
hated
feel
that one. Uh I'm gonna go a deep cut on you. Okay. I was gonna hold off on this one. And I know I'm gonna mess this guy's name up because I've never been able to pronounce it. Um, Andre Kirilenko, AK-47.
arguably the best nickname ever.
Bro,
Arguably,
bro, I don't know how it's a Russian player that wore the number 47, whose initials are AK. I don't know how it gets any better than that.
he had to be in on it, right? Like he knew. Like there's
I
no
think
way.
he had to. He had to. He had to.
Perfect.
And I
That's perfect.
remember like watching games and like just I love that name. Like it was I had no connection to the guy like in any way, shape, or form in terms of like his team or whatever. I couldn't care less. It was just the nickname was just phenomenal to me. AK-47 is marketable in any way, shape, or form. And if he was playing in today's game and was a shooting like if he could shoot at least like because I don't know his career
Career
stats, but
stats. Yeah.
if he could shoot probably like around like 54% from the perimeter, Do you know how lethal that would be?
54%. That'll be a
Yes.
Hall of Fame player, bro. That's
Yes.
that's that's
Yes.
yeah, that's 2K numbers right there.
I want him to kind of like I want
You got to be a shooter if your nickname is AK-47. You
yeah,
have to.
but see now it's like I want Steph Curry to change his I want a nickname that
Mhm.
kind of like goes in
Yeah.
that route. And I don't
His
know
game is deserving of one, right? But he doesn't.
it
I haven't
is
heard one. I haven't heard one.
it well baby face assassin. He's not a baby face anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Um
I mean, he still kind of
but
looks young, you know.
he looks his age just now at this
I
point.
think he looks younger than his age, but I feel you.
Yeah. So I don't know,
It
man.
is what
I
it
don't
is.
know.
Yeah, it's still a
Yeah.
shitty nickname. So next up, it's only right, right? You just sparked a memory in me because I was
Yeah.
thinking, obviously, that nickname's in a song, so I'm going with a nickname that's in a song too. Going to Bombay in these streets, balling like I'm Pistol Pete. Shout out to Pete Maravich, right? That's a great
Yeah.
nickname.
Yeah. That's a good one too. Yeah. Ah man. I'm going with another one that was my one of my favorites that I think people hated on. Especially when he was playing. A lot of people I don't think a lot of people appreciate his style of play, to be honest. Until he retired. But Tim Duncan, the big fundamental.
Oh, that's a good one. That's on my list. That's on my
Is it
list.
okay?
Nice.
I don't think that that his style of play was as appreciated as it probably would be today. Back then.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
shout out to Teddy Atlas. He doesn't have those neon talents, right? They don't jump
yeah,
out at you. But he's
yeah,
consistent as hell and just a problem. Like no matter you hear a lot of people talk about it now too. Like he was someone that wouldn't really talk shit, but when he does say something to you, it fucking hurts because he's
yes,
cooking you at the same time. So I heard some
yes,
good stories from Boogie about that as well. So shout out to the big fundamental.
yeah, man. I'm gonna go with that one.
Ooh, next up, it's getting deep, right? We're running out of names here, right? That are
Yes,
good.
sir. Yes,
The
sir.
answer. I never really understood what the question was, right? Like I never got an idea, but no matter what it is, he's got the answer. So shout out to
I
AI.
know what it is. They
Ooh.
gave him that nickname. I think it was in college. It was high school or college. They gave that nickname to him back then because they said that he was going to be the answer to the league's problem.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
Which was what
yeah.
was the problem at the time?
I forgot. Because I read that I was like, all right, like I get it, but
Mhm. It worked great for the sneakers though and everything, you know?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I would have gone with that like going into the draft,
Mhm.
right? Like I think it's almost all about timing with some of
Yeah.
these names too. That would have been absolutely perfect during the draft.
Mhm.
That'd have been
All right.
perfect. Dang man, I was about to actually say his too. I had just jumped over him. I'm gonna go the glove.
Oh, that's a good one. I got my
Gary Payton.
Supersonics colors on and I didn't even think of it.
I'm gonna go with the glove. I mean, when you have someone who played defense like that, and you know he was able, like the glove is just perfect.
Mhm.
It's just perfect. It fits him like a glove. You know what I'm saying? Like that was just perfect. I love Gary Payton, man.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go with him. That's one of my other
How could you
favorites.
not? How could you not? This one was created right here in my hometown, my beloved New York. Another name that was made infamous on outdoor courts. Dr. J, Julius Irvin, another guy who that is his nickname, right?
Yeah,
There's no Julius Irving talk. It's Dr. J. So great nickname.
yeah. I said I had no current players, but I'm gonna go this one out off rip because my
It's
list is
getting
gone.
there. It's getting to that
My no, my
list.
list
Yep.
is done. I
Ooh, yeah. This is off the dome
my
now.
list
Yeah.
this is off the dome. The claw, Kawhi Leonard.
Ooh, Kawhi. Yep. I was thinking of that one earlier.
Yep.
Uh, I mean, if your nickname is just based off the fact that you have big hands, like we're running out of creativity here, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah, we are. But his hand is
am I
huge.
wrong about this? Was this a thing when he was in San Antonio, or did this come about in Toronto?
Claw.
Because I feel
No, no,
like
that
if
was
it came
before.
about, okay,
That was before. That was before.
'Cause I feel like it's more fitting in Toronto, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
Well, he wasn't in Toronto long enough to have a nickname.
that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. I,
Brought the
I don't mean it
chip
as a
and did.
shot, but he really wasn't
Mm-hmm.
outside of champ, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll go with that. And
I remember when that trade happened, I like couldn't believe it. Like it just felt so far from what the Spurs do, right? Like this is,
it did.
yeah.
But you know what? If it made sense too, because you could see the writing on the wall. He was about to leave for them and not get anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't mind it. Um, but I hated that time period, man.
Mm-hmm.
The hell, there were a lot of people that were saying, especially on ESPN and stuff like that, but people around me that kept saying, well, the Celtics need to trade for him. They trade Jaylen Brown and get him. Like, no, why? No.
Once again, why? Yeah.
Yeah, it to me it made no sense trading Jalen for him. And I know a lot of people are probably gonna say, yeah, you can say it now, but I was like, nah. Back then I was saying no to Jalen Brown going to San Antonio for him. The years, the contract and everything like that, the upside,
Mm-hmm.
after the knee injury and everything like that, there was no reason that I could see them ever making a move like that. Not for not for
Sure.
not for a rental. That's not for someone that's only gonna stay there for a year.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make any sense.
The big
So
issue is it being a rental. Like that's the big issue.
yeah,
But once again,
yeah,
Toronto got a chip out of it. So you
they
can't
got a
hate on the
chip out
move
of
for
it
them, right? For them.
for them. They got a
Yep.
chip out of it, and they are in purgatory now.
Oh,
So
yeah. Far beyond. That game was sad because they were in control for the most of it in that playing game against the Bulls and just let it slip away towards the end. But anyway,
how
we gotta get through this list because we'll be here all
right?
night, bro.
But the story on that game though, you lost to DeRozan's daughter.
Oh yes,
That's fitting as hell.
I
I
remember
don't
the
know
first
how.
couple times I was really taken aback by it because I heard it
Yeah,
before like they
yeah,
made it a story. So I'm like,
yeah,
who the fuck is losing their mind like that? Like, and shout out to she
yeah,
got a box score at the end of the night, right? 18 for
yeah, yeah,
20,
yeah,
36 or something like that. So yeah, that's
yeah.
dope. My next one, another one where he became ubiquitous as his nickname, the Iceman. George
Mm,
Gervin, right? Another
yeah, man.
underappreciated legend of the game, in my opinion.
Yeah,
So shout out to the Iceman.
yeah. I'm gonna throw another one out off the top. The Dream.
Oh, that was my next one. That was my next one. Yeah, that fits so well
The Dream.
with his
It's a
game
beautiful
too.
name.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a beautiful name. So
we're at that part of the list where we just got to throw out current ones that suck.
yeah,
Give me the
yeah.
Spider, Donovan Mitchell. I like that it's spelled originally, right? That's the only part I like about it. But besides that, don't understand where it comes from or why it's relevant. But
I don't get it for
yeah,
him.
maybe he's a
I don't get
Spider-Man
it.
fan. Who knows?
Maybe unless well, has anybody said he looks like Miles Morales?
Damn. No, I don't like that suggestion. I don't.
I mean, I don't.
That's
I'm
kind
just
of like
asking
a
because
all black people look the same moment. Like that,
I
he looks
know, but
nothing
like
like
it's
Miles.
random, bro. Like
It is
it's
random.
it's random. It's random. I get Superman because Shaq is like he was like indestructible. He was like a superhuman, out of this world type of guy. I get the comparison there. I don't get Spider. I don't get that. I'm
Yeah.
good.
He's gonna drop in upside down and come and kiss you, shorty. Go
Yeah.
ahead. It's your turn now.
I lost.
Oh, it's over. There's no way. There's
I'm
no way
tapped
you
out.
can't think of another name, bro.
I'm tapped out because I don't like any current players' names. And
At this point, it's not even about like though. It's just about
no, no, no,
recalling a
no.
name.
I only wanted my list to
Oh,
be
okay.
of players of names that I absolutely liked. It outside of that, it was nothing else for me.
Okay.
Like yeah. I mean, you took the big ticket, so I can't say that. Jesus Shuttlesworth is just a mouthful. So I I was like, let me just leave it alone. So
I feel
I'm
you.
tapped out.
Thank you. I would have went all I had the king lined up. I had all these terrible nicknames lined
What
up. So
LeBron?
we could yeah, that's a stupid nickname. We're gonna
It's
roast
a
it, but
horrible
it's a
nickname,
nickname.
man. It's a horrible nickname. And to be honest, it's a nickname for someone. Let me not go down this road. Let me just leave it alone. Let me leave it alone.
He's like, let me not. We have enough reasons for Lakers hate already.
I just
It's tame.
it's not even
It's
just
tame.
Lakers. Hey, it's just LeBron. Like I don't get it. I don't get it.
I'm just glad I got my nickname award trophy. Let's go.
Yeah. And then Greek the Freak. That one is another one I just don't like. I just don't like. It's just nicknames in today's day and age aren't there. I want nicknames to come back,
Yep.
right? I would almost I've been trying to think of one for Jason Tatum for the longest time, and I don't know. But if it wasn't one already, Agent Zero would actually fit him nicely.
Oh yeah. If it was original, if only. Yeah.
If it only was original, it would fit him. But I can I need nicknames to come back. I need
Mm,
nicknames to come back, and I need Embiid to get an actual nickname.
yeah.
James Harden's nickname is just a description. I don't. The beard makes
It's just a
no sense.
description.
I, I don't like that, man. We need nicknames to come back. Dame Dollar, this is
Yeah,
rat
that's
name.
terrible. Terrible.
I don't like that as a nickname. That it, it's not it. That's not it.
PG
You know,
13 is phenomenal.
PG
Phenomenal.
13. See, PG 13 is cool. Like I'm all right with it, but
But that took a rebrand. Like he wasn't.
it was a
He was
rebrand,
24 for a while.
right? And when he was 24, dude was balling,
Yeah,
right? Before the
before the
injury,
leg break. I feel like
yeah,
that's another mythical NBA player that is like, oh man, if only we could have seen the actual potential, right? Like if he didn't
right,
go through that horrific, because the fact that I mean, in all honesty, the fact that he came back from that and is still an all-star caliber player every year,
yeah,
insane, right? Like
yeah,
that's rare. Like that was a
yeah,
that's one of those moments that everyone remembers, like where they were, what
yeah,
how they saw it, like just a rough moment. So yeah, the bouncing back from that is dope, but he could have been so much, like who knows, right? Who he could have been without that. So crazy,
yeah,
crazy times.
yeah. I don't know, man. I just need nicknames to come back.
Yeah, yes,
I need to
sir.
come back.
That's gonna be the next time we hop on this. We should come up with new nicknames for players that are like either have nicknames already that we don't like or something, right? We can't be a part of the problem. We got to come up with these solutions. So
We
look
are
look forward to
solution
that on
based.
another episode
Yeah,
for sure.
we are a solution based show, so we should do that. I agree with that. Um, Before we get into anything else, just want to remind you guys if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, notification bell, follow on all social media platforms at OTS Media Co. on all social media platforms. And let us know what you guys think. We're coming out with some other stuff, and especially with this show. With this show, we're pushing out some stuff. Chris and I have actually discussed, actually adding more to the show. I don't know if we're gonna talk about that or not. It's up to you. But
We let those babies out when they're ready, right? When
when
they're
they're
fully
ready,
ready. Yeah.
yeah. But we got some stuff coming, especially for this show that we guys want you guys to be a part of, and to pay attention to, and spread the word. So we'll update you guys on some stuff pretty soon. But yeah. With that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get into the NBA awards. We are at the end of the season, bro, and it feels, to be honest, it feels like we just started the season. Like it was kind of weird when I
Hmm.
realized we were at the end and going into the playoffs. It feels like, to be honest, it just felt like we just left All Star break. Um, I'm excited. I'm excited, but we have the NBA awards that are being voted on now. We have a lot of great candidates for some of these awards. We're gonna break down some real quick. I guess give the what do you want to do? You want to give the nominees or the top three of each for it and say who we think should get the award?
Yeah,
Because
I'm down for that.
I think that's fair. First, coach of the year. Coach of the year. Um, right now, Mike Brown. I'm gonna let you say your coach's name because I don't know this last name. Mark,
I don't got it either, bro. And I
you
watch
don't
these
either.
games all the time. So yeah, I'm not even. And you know me, like I follow MMA. I got some fucked up names that come
Yeah,
off this
yeah.
tongue. I'm not even gonna try that one. Shout out my guy Mark, man.
Mark for the OKC Thunder, and Joe Mazzulla.
Mm.
Those are the top nominees right there. Um, who do you see winning this award?
Gotta be
And
Mike
does that match up
Brown.
with who should?
It has to be Mike Brown, man. Like
Yeah.
it has to be. I mean, once again, I never saw Sacramento being anywhere in this position. Shout out to the Lakers for actually making the playoffs, right? So at least I don't feel as bad about going through with this bet. If they didn't make the playoffs at all, like that would have sucked. But
Yeah.
yeah, shout out to you for seeing that coming. I can't honestly can't believe that they did as well as they did. Their defense still sucks, right? But their offense is basically number
Yeah.
one in the league, and
Yeah.
extremely hard to stop when you're running at that pace too. So, big fan of everything they've been able to accomplish. And this is someone too that got a lot of shit for a lot of his different position, like being behind LeBron in that era, being behind the
Mm-hmm.
Knicks in that era. Like this is someone
Mm-hmm.
that got a lot of undeserved shit, in my opinion, because rosters falling apart around him. That's a
Yes.
little tongue twister right there. But he definitely got a lot of flack with that I thought was undeserved. So great to see him shine in this spot for sure.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm gonna go with Mike Brown as well, man. I think there's a lot to be said when especially you're able to coach a team to the playoffs that hasn't been there in what 16 years.
Mhm.
I think the culture that they're building there is phenomenal. Now, when they first hired him, I was like, why is he leaving Golden State for Sacramento? Right? But
Felt like hell.
it felt like he was jumping right into purgatory. I honestly didn't see a coach of the year for him there like that, but they're doing a great job, man. I don't think this is a false. I don't. I mean, put like this. I don't think this is just a freak accident. I think this is something they build on, and I think they can stay in this position for a long time. Um, I think they can actually attract a free agent or two.
Yep. It's
I
not
think
a
they
bad
can.
place to live. I
It's
promise
not.
you. Not.
It's not like I just the corniest thing about them is that beam. That's the only thing, but I like
I don't get it still. Like I
I don't
really
get it
don't.
either. I don't get it either.
Light the beam. So fucking dumb.
But
Like if that was a Knicks thing, that would make sense, right? Shout out to Empire State. Like
yeah,
the
yeah,
come on, bro. I don't know. I
yeah.
might be out of touch. That might be a Sacramento thing that I'm just
Maybe.
unaware of. But
I don't know. It just reminds me of Star Wars too much. I think any other year, I think if the Kings weren't having the season that they're having right now, Joe Mazzulla to me makes sense. Coming in after everything with Ime Udoka, and following the success, like they picked up right where they left off last year. It would make sense to give him Coach of the Year. But yeah, I think this is nothing I kind of wanted to talk to you about too. The criteria for these awards, right?
mhm.
Like it's not
This
just
one specifically is wonky, right? Like
this one specifically is interesting because in years past we've seen where the record has been the narrative as to why someone wins Coach of the Year, right? It's never about like who is actually coaching and bringing their team from an impossible situation into a place where they shouldn't be, right? It's never been about that. It's never been about the X's and O's and like out of timeout plays or stuff like that. It's never been about that. It's never been about their percentage of successful baskets with specific plays, right?
mhm,
Like you always talk about like in football, like RPOs and stuff like that, and like even with the Eagles this year, with the quarterback
mhm.
sneak, right? It's never about the percentage of like of success with execution of like actual playbook. It's just about narrative, and that's what a lot of these awards are narrative based. And I never understood that. I never got that.
I agree 100% because it leaves out a lot, but it also forces a certain line of thinking. So let me explain what I mean by that. Like
Mhm.
100%, I agree with you. I think it's hard to determine how much these individual plays are leading to a thing, because most of the time the good teams are the ones that are winning, right? And at the end of the day, you could
Right.
draw up the best play you want on that little board, but if they ain't making
Yeah.
it, it doesn't matter,
Hmm.
right? It doesn't
Yeah.
tell us anything. But as far as like the narrative aspect of this award, I feel like it's entirely based on people that were in an unexpected situation, or a team that wasn't expected to do a certain way,
Hmm.
versus, in my opinion, and I think a good example of this is Mike Budenholzer with the Bucks. He would never
Yeah.
be considered for this award because they're
Yeah.
expected to be in the number one seed. But with the injury issues and with certain players regressing, shout out to Chris Middleton. But with certain players regressing, right, and having to deal with those things and still being atop your conference, you would think that would matter. But because he's already established himself, I think he got the award once before, right?
He did a
A
few years
lot of
ago.
the times they're not even concerned with the top team, because most of the time you could see that top team coming. So I hate that that's excluded
Yeah.
too, because in my opinion, I think he deserves to be in that conversation as well.
Yeah. I mean, but like even like situational awareness, right? Like how many times you're able to win a
Mm-hmm.
challenge? How many times you're
A good shout.
excuse me, how many times you actually you're able to defend and like drop the defensive play to make sure you get the last shot, right? Stuff like that. Like I don't think those things are ever considered with coach of the year. It's again narrative based, and I don't like that. Like
Yeah.
narrative, and especially when you're talking about media, um media narratives where guys are on ESPN and FS1, all these networks, like their narrative is what decides who wins the award. I don't like that. It just so happens to be. I think Mike Brown deserves the award this year.
Exactly. And it's funny.
You see what I'm saying?
I feel like this isn't just the NBA either. Like I feel like
Mm-hmm.
the criteria is the exact same for the NFL, and it's like a
Yeah.
unspoken thing, but it's just how it goes. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like it, but I don't think we're gonna see it change anytime soon.
No, but I will say I think where voting needs to change is media needs to be left out. I think Hall of Fame players need to decide
That's
who
dope.
Hall
I
of
would
Fame
love
players,
that.
Hall of Fame coaches. Let them actually be active in the decision process. We see them with like the All Star game, right? Where they're the judges in the All Star game for the dunk contest. Let them actually decide who wins these awards. Nine
I
times
would
out of
love
ten,
that.
they're going to get it right.
I just think when it comes to things like that, they shy away from it because of like affiliations, right? Like you would,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you would get a wild ballot with like for this year, like you get a Dame for MVP ballot on someone's based on who, I
Yeah.
just feel like that's why they try to shy away from that. But I agree, in a perfect world where like you choose to opt in and like you take it seriously, like I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that could be a better motto. But once again, I think trying to get, I mean, there's so few things at this point that the media has any involvement in when it comes to NBA, like and these different things. I kind of don't mind it as much. But I think if you want to change it being just based off narrative, that's the way to go for sure.
Yeah. Or have past winners decide too. That'd be nice. Um,
Yes, sir. I feel like
excuse
a lot
me.
of those guys would still be in the running though.
Past, okay, retired past winners. How about that?
Got you. Yep, that's a good.
How about that?
That's a good shout.
Yeah,
That's a real good
because
shout.
I think Jamal Crawford has a big idea about the Six Man of the Year award.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So, all right, but actually, speaking of Six Man of the Year award, your nominees are Bobby Portis, Malcolm Brogdon, and Norman Powell. What are
What?
your
What?
Yeah, yeah.
What?
This is according to NBA.com, which is why like I'm like I am so shocked. And I'm talking about this is as of today. This is not even like 2 weeks ago, a month ago. This is as of today, this morning. These are the nominees.
Okay,
Bobby
I'm gonna air
Portis.
this out. None of these dudes deserve to be in a conversation. None of them. And
Wait, what?
I can't even give you a top three, right? I can't even give you a
Okay.
top three on who I would think is the top three. But in my opinion, none of these dudes deserve to be in a conversation because there's one clear winner, right? There's one clear winner. And I don't like giving shout outs to New York teams. I really don't. But this is Emmanuel Quickly's award. This is someone who puts up
How?
starter numbers. He doesn't start.
He started this year multiple
He
games.
started because of necessity, but he does when the team is fully healthy. He doesn't start. He plays starter minutes, but he comes off the bench.
I can't see how Malcolm Brogdon doesn't get this award. And that's not bias.
That's fair. I think
that's
he's there.
Biased.
He's there. He's there.
When you're talking about a guy who should be a starter, who would be a starter on any other team.
Quickly is two. Actually, but I agree.
But he actually took not only did he like take that role of being the sixth man, but he is the captain of like from the bench, right? Like he is that guy. And I don't see how like I get Quickly. I get Quickly. I don't understand Bobby Portis at all, to be honest. I don't get that.
Bruh.
Norman Powell, okay, I get it. But Malcolm Brogdon, this to me, this is his award. Because when you talk about like the impact off the bench,
he's a pure sixth man. He has not started.
Pure sixth man. Like to me, that's the criteria. Like you're the sixth man. You're not. I get if there are injuries and
I promise you though, Quickly is a sixth man. He is a sixth man. If they're not injured, he is a sixth man.
I get it, but his impact has not been the same as Malcolm's. Look where Malcolm's team is
entirely.
Look where Malcolm's
team wise, yes, but individual performance, he's
team. I'm talking about team. I'm talking about on the team, right?
For sure.
The position that the Celtics would be in right now would not be the second seed if he was not on this team.
And it's two-way too. With him, it's two-way. With Quickly, it's not so much. So I agree.
Yeah.
I just feel like the actual production, like those numbers don't lie. As far as, and once again, that might be me taking the narrative, right? We was talking about we don't like that.
That's my point.
I might be doing that right now.
I don't like the narrative aspect because it's shifted to he's scored this many points over Malcolm Brogdon, right? I'm looking at impact. Like in the sixth man role, what is your impact? In actually being the sixth man off the bench, what is your impact for this team? Malcolm's is bigger than Emmanuel's.
I disagree, bro. Do you watch the Knicks? I mean, most people don't.
I have watched, but I don't see. Put it like this: this is if Malcolm was on this team last year, we would have won the finals.
And the fact that he slotted into that role while not playing it previously either, I think is a big thing too, right? Like
it's amazing.
I don't hate it. Trust me, I don't hate it. I just feel like Quickly is that dude. And if he ain't starting next year, it don't make sense to me personally. But I promise you, when we watch these Cavs games, these Cavs Knicks, we're gonna talk about him a little later. Mm-hmm. He's coming off the bench, bro. He's not a starter.
Yeah. I don't know. Hey, look, I think they both belong in the conversation. Bobby Portis does not belong in the conversation. I don't. I'm not falling for that. Get out of here. Next up, most improved player. Your nominees are Lauri Markkanen, Jalen Brunson, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Who you got?
So I think it's very easy for me to be a homer, right? It's very easy for me to say that Shai Gilgeous is the most improved player. If this award was about, once again, I'm thinking narrative, right? If this was up to me, this is Shai's award, 100%. Because unlike Ja Morant, he never got the same acclaim that Ja Morant got before, right? So this was unexpected for everyone, and in my opinion, I think he's in the conversation for first team All NBA. Call me crazy. I think he's in the conversation. Whether or not he lands there, whether or not he lands there, I'm not sure, but I think he's in the conversation. So I think if it's up to me, this award is his, right? And that's me being a homer. But I think Lauri is probably going to win 100%, and I don't mind it because nobody expected that out of him, right? This is a guy, I remember this very vividly. I don't play 2K much now, right?
Right, right.
But this was a guy, right? When you like 2 seasons into your my career player, your team trades for him, you like, damn, bro, like we got fucking Laurie on the squad. Like Laurie Strode is out here getting rebounds for me right now. I know I can't throw him a lob. I
Yeah,
gotta pick and pop with him. I can't throw.
yeah,
That's not the kind of 2K player I want on my team. So
yeah,
when
yeah.
when when that's what you think of, right? When you think of this guy, and the fact that he's able to raise his ceiling and do so much things on both sides of the floor and really be a star for that Jazz team is crazy to me. So
Mhm.
I'll definitely be okay with it being Laurie Markkinen. But if you are, you cannot deny the most improved player this season has been Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Period. But just because Laurie was never expected to be anything, he's probably going to get it.
I don't I don't necessarily disagree with your argument, but I'll put it like this. I think based on the actual award, Jalen Brunson deserves some
More
consideration
conversation.
in that.
I agree.
I there is something different where when you insert him into that lineup and you see how the impact of him leaving Dallas, let's just be honest. With him leaving Dallas, going to New York, I didn't see the I didn't see this coming from the Knicks with him.
I agree. 100%.
I didn't see this. I thought they'd be, you know, I thought they'd be a playoff team, but I wasn't expecting anything from them, to be honest. Um, and I think he does a lot for them. I think most improved players shouldn't just be about how much you score, but about your impact on a team, right? Um, Shea Gilgis Alexander, I expected what he did this year. Like I drafted him in fantasy and everything. I expected what I saw this year from him to happen. Because
Not to
that's just
this degree, though. Not to
that's the
this. I
trajectory
didn't
he's
expect
been
it to
on,
this
bro.
degree. I
It's the
expected it,
trajectory
but
he's
not
been
to.
on.
Bro, it's almost scoring the most points in the league. I didn't expect, and I'm an OKC fan. Like I didn't expect that. So
Not that part, not that part. I'm just talking about his impact. I'm just
for
talking about his
sure,
impact,
for
but
sure, that's fair.
maybe
Yeah,
not that part. I didn't see that, but his impact for sure. I like that was obvious.
for sure.
Um, but I believe it. I'm okay with this list of who they have
Mhm.
considered. I'm okay with
I
it.
agree.
Like you, I think Lori might win it as well. But I would like to actually see Jalen Brunson win this one. You know,
That's
the
fair.
Knicks put themselves in a position where I think they lost a pick, um, because you know of tampering
Hmm.
and getting his dad and stuff like all that stuff happening. Um, I think now looking back, that was a perfect move for him. Next up, executive of the year. We have Monty McNair for the Sacramento Kings, Kobe Altman for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and Sam Presti for the OKC Thunder. What are your thoughts?
I think there's someone who is not on this list that deserves to be on this list. Now, correct me if this is the correct person, right? Because I'm not sure. But
Mm-hmm.
I think what is that guy's name? He used to be your coach of the Celtics, Brad
Brad
Stevens.
Stevens.
He deserves
Thank
to
you.
be in this conversation. There's no way
Thank
he's
you.
not. And I'm glad I said it, right? Because it doesn't look as
Yes.
bad.
Yes. Yes.
He deserves to be in this conversation because every single one of those moves he made worked. And I'm not gonna lie, especially a couple of them. Gallinari, I'm looking at you. When I first
Side
saw it,
eye,
I was
right?
like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
that's gonna work out. And dealing with everything with the email and continuing to push forward despite that, and all these moves working out the way you need them to. I think he deserves to be in that conversation too. Sam Presti is that dude. I think he deserves to be in the conversation the last 3 years. So good to see
Yeah.
him get the recognition. I'm not really mad with either one of these guys, right? Like the storyline's there, I get it, but the fact that Brad Stevens ain't in the conversation is kind of crazy to me.
I to me, Brad needs. I think
It's an
it's Brad's.
expectations thing. It has to be
It's
an
Brad's.
expectation thing.
It has to be because I don't see like last year, for example. I mean, this happened mid-season, but bringing Derrick White over. from San Antonio.
Huge, big time. I
You were
remember
able
telling
to.
you how good it was gonna be, and you was like, I don't
I
know, I don't know.
I liked it, but it was like one of those things because I was so stuck on Josh Richardson,
Yeah,
and I was thinking about Josh off the bench. I'm like, because I didn't know what we were doing with the forward position. I was like, that just kind of made sense to me based off of like injury and anything like that, right? Like they got right, but you got Derrick Wright, Derrick White at the end of halfway point in the last season. You got Blake Griffin in the offseason and Malcolm Brogdon, and then Gallinari.
yeah.
Gallinari hasn't even seen the floor this year. I'm expecting him to come back in the second round, right? I think just with Malcolm Brogdon and Derek and Blake Griffin alone, those two moves, right? I don't see how you don't get him
Big time
that
moves.
award. I mean, that to me that makes sense. Sam is to me is to be honest, it's between Brad Stevens and Sam Presti because Sam Presti has set the Thunder up
We are
for
getting roasted in the comments right now. The comments are roasting us right now.
couldn't care less. I could not care less. You all are welcome to come onto the show and talk your stuff whenever you want to. Just hit us up. We'll make it happen. But right now, you got to hear us, okay? And I'm telling you, Sam Presti is like being in this conversation makes the most sense as well because of the fact that he has set the Thunder up for the long run, right? Um, you've got 15 was 15 draft picks in the next, I think, 5 years that are in the first and second round, I believe.
First round,
Oh, it's just
not
all
even
just
second
first
round.
round.
First round.
That is insane. that is a Danny Ainge like move. That's insane. Like he's actually put you guys into the position where you're contending right now with your lottery pick on the sideline.
Crazy. Yeah.
Who does that? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see what happens.
Hell yeah.
I'm excited
Me
to see what
too.
happens. And I think what he's going to end up doing when by oh my god, I always mess this guy's name up. Win by Banya. Uh you know,
Victor Wembanyama.
yeah, that guy. I think when he's up, because he's already said he's not going to be getting drafted this year, right? Which I think that
Really? I've
oh
never
you
heard
didn't
of
see
that.
that? I
No.
met I thought I tagged you.
Just
He's
broke some
staying.
news.
He's
Holy
staying over
shit.
there.
I respect that move. That's a baller move right there.
It is, but that lets you know that the guys that were in contention to be in the lottery, he obviously doesn't want to be there. It's either that or he's injured. Because there's no way. There's
It
no
must be
way.
a size. I feel like it's low key a size concern thing. Like I think that's
Okay.
a big thing. I mean, look how Chet got injured, right? I'm not trying to talk shit about
Mm-hmm.
someone that I'm looking forward to watch play, right?
Yeah.
I mean, once upon a time, Joel Embiid was in the same situation, right? So I agree.
Durant
It's
too.
either injury related or something. But I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all.
Yeah. I think it makes sense. Stay another year. Um, I've kind of always pictured him in OKC for some reason. So it'd be
That
interesting
sounds
to see.
amazing. Yeah.
To bro, can you
Because
not
even if we don't
see
get the first pick, like we can make a
you
push
can
for it for sure.
trade. That's what I'm saying. Like that, like I can see Sam Presti trading at least 5 to 8 of those picks to push up to get someone like him.
Mhm.
It makes sense to me.
Give them 10. We don't need them. Like
You don't need
at this
them.
point, we don't need them. Yeah, give them 10.
I can see something like that. Whether it's him or a guy like I don't know,
Scoot.
a guy that
I'll
would
take
want
Scoot. I don't give a fuck. I'll take Scoot.
I'm not even talking about a prospect. I'm talking about like a free agent or someone that's on the cusp of being
Oh
a
yeah,
free agent.
very fair. Very fair.
I
Yeah.
think I think he's going to push to trade for one of those guys.
Bam. Give me Bam out of Bayou. That'll
No,
be
you don't
a
need
great
he,
move.
and that's the thing. You don't need to get too many picks for him either.
exactly. Yep.
I think that's what's going to end up happening is that it's going to be a trade either in a draft or a free agent to be or both.
Mhm.
But I think he has set you guys up for a good space. So, executive of the year, I don't mind that for him either. Um, it makes sense.
We
But
got
that's it.
cases. Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
We're not
That's
doing
it. I
MVP. Leaving it at
Oh, I'm
that.
sorry, bro. I'm
Or
sorry. I thought
defensive
did I
player of
not
the
say that?
year. What's going on? Nah.
Those aren't on here. Why are they not on here?
The
Why
most
are they not on
important
here?
awards.
All right, let's just talk about it then. MVP and defensive player of the year.
Let's start with defensive,
Um,
right? We gotta.
let's
There's an
start with
order of
defensive.
PEMDAS. There's an order of
Yes,
operations here. Yeah, go ahead.
yes. Defensive player of the year. Who do you see winning that award?
I low key wish this was including the playoffs because I think this person won't win it if you include the playoffs. But I think it's definitely going to be Triple J, Jaron Jackson Jr. I think his impact and the numbers aspect of it, and the fact that they dealt with so much off the court things, and they were
Mm-hmm.
able to keep it together throughout that. He was the thread, right, as far as their defense at least. And he's moving along very well offensively too. Got his first All Star game. Like I think all the makings are there. Um, and honestly, when I was looking, I still can't believe I picked Ivica Zubac as my defensive player of the year at the beginning of the. Please don't let me do something like that again. But um, I think there's some people that deserve to be in this conversation that probably will not be right.
Right.
Lou Dort, in my opinion, deserves to be in this
Mm-hmm.
conversation.
Mm-hmm.
He's someone that I just love watching play because there's not many people in the league that you're interested on watching them off ball. He's one of those guys. He really puts it on and makes a lot of the best players on the opposite teams work really hard for everything. Um, I know guards in general just don't get that respect. So trying to think of who else I would like in that spot. Once again, you got to throw the Homer stuff in there, but
Mm-hmm.
I think Triple J should probably win it for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that. Triple J makes a lot of sense at this point. Um, of course, to be honest, I I I think this is another thing where criteria to me is very interesting, right? Because narrative on this, same thing. I think if you're talking about the defensive player of the year award, I think it should be the best defensive player on the top defensive team in the league. That's just what I think the criteria should be. Um, I guess I guess Jaron Jackson, yeah, that's cool. I'm fine with that. Um, uh, you know, that'd be cool. It's gonna sound a homer. Derrick White has, I think he has I think he leads the league for all guards in blocks, right? Which is impressive as hell. Because I forgot his number, but it's impressive as hell, especially for a guard. That's pretty cool. You see what Joel Embiid has done this year. You know, I don't know what the narrative is around this award because I haven't been paying attention to it,
Mhm.
but I just think the criteria needs to be the best defensive player statistically, statistically and by eyeball because I think people do too
There's a
much to
difference.
me
Yeah.
because there are things defensively that guys do that don't show up in the stat sheet, right? Like you're able to force somebody to go in on to the wrong side. Like if they don't want to use their right hand, they're left-handed, you're forcing them to go right, or if you're forcing them to go left, um, you're forcing them into a trap or whatever. Like I think the things that don't show up on the stat sheet should definitely be in consideration for who wins that award as well. Um, but yeah,
I agree with you
there.
real quick, and I just wanted to mention before we move on because I just had a eureka moment over here. I don't know if you saw. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
I did.
um, literally. I don't know how I said Lou Dort before I said this name, but this name, right? You're gonna hear me say it. and you're gonna be like, "What the fuck? Hell no!" Because of the reputation this person has. Brooke Lopez. Brooke Lopez has been balling this
Brook
year
Lopez is
in a
good. Yeah,
big
Brook.
way.
Yeah. No, he has.
So
He
I
has.
think I
That's a
think
good shout.
he deserves to be in that conversation too, for sure.
That's a good shout. I agree with that. Yeah,
When you said Derrick White, I thought you was gonna say Jason Tatum because he's usually taking the biggest responsibility, right? But
he has. But I was talking about just on guards. I
yeah,
think.
yeah,
I think. I think Tatum will be on an all defensive team this year.
yeah. He
His
better be.
defense
He
has
better be.
gone like it's tremendous. I think we do too much with narrative. That's all. Narrative
Yep,
runs
that's
these
fair.
awards way too much. But let's go into the big one. MVP. What's your MVP of the year?
Damn,
Is it
just off
Giannis?
the
Is it
rip, just off
Embiid?
the rip.
Yeah. Is
Whew.
it Jokic?
Hey
Who
man,
should
I was
win
on
it?
the wrong side of this conversation, right? I was on the wrong side of this conversation throughout the year. I
Yeah.
still stand by those comments. I still do, right? But in the end, a lot of the points you made turned out to be true. So I can't even be mad, right? It is nowhere near Luka Doncic. I gotta get that off my chest because I was campaigning the trip shit. I at that point I might have been getting paid, right? I might have been getting paid to push this narrative,
Yeah,
with the way I
you
was
were
going
you're
on.
like Kendrick Perkins with the clutch checks.
Oh my god. So as far as who I think really deserves it, right? This is actually controversial because you didn't even say this person's name. Um, but there was a time there where it felt like Joker could have gotten it again, right?
Mhm.
Deservedly so. But once the season wrapped up and the way it wrapped up specifically, I think you got to give it to Joel Embiid. I think all
Mhm.
fingers are pointing to Giannis right now, and I don't mind that. Right, he's always carrying that team to the fullest, so I won't
Yeah.
be mad at that at all. And obviously they got the best record in the East. But the fact that Harden was out that long, right? And he had his own injury issues, and to pull it
Mhm.
together at the end of the year in a way that is significant to note in his career that has already been stellar, where he's already had years where he's in the MVP conversation. You could argue one of the best years he's ever had. And once again, a lot of those things don't show up on the stat sheet, but just
Mhm.
the way he's grown as a player, that dude's a nightmare. Like he's an
Yeah.
anamorph. Like you watch Jokic play and the stuff he does, don't get me wrong, is very effective and I love watching him play, but there's very few players in the league that I'm like, man, I haven't seen anyone that does this shit. He's on that list. His fluidity offensively, insane. Like something you don't see out of forwards, let alone guards. Centers. So
Mhm.
I'm excited here, right? Shout out to Joel Embiid. I'm over here twisting my own tongue,
Yeah.
bending over backwards to suck the meat, right? Pause. But
God, dog.
I think Joel Embiid deserves this shit, and he's probably not gonna get it.
Yeah. Um, to be honest, I think who's going to win it will be Joel Embiid. I think that's is based off of a couple of things: narrative, sympathy vote. Um, to be honest, though, this is another thing that I think criteria um plays a big part into it, right? When you have a list of guys that we can all say are top five for consideration, right? I think narrative should be thrown out the door in terms of like, you know, the type of year they have and all that stuff in terms of like, you know, whatever you want to say, narrative based, which is makes a good story. Um, I think one thing we should consider is the number of games they've played, the record that they have against other nominees for the award,
That's
and their
niche, but I
impact.
like that. That's
It's
niche.
yeah, it's different, but not only their record against each other, but their impact on their team, right? Uh, how they are on the floor, off the floor, if games they've played or games they're not playing, right? I think all that should kind of be considered into it and seating too, right? Um, all that said, I think out of all those criteria, Jason Tatum marks. I think he hits all those except for maybe two. Um, he's played more games than all these guys. He's played 74 games this year. Um, if I'm not mistaken, he's only lost one game against all these guys. And that was just because he just we lost against Philadelphia, and really it should have they should have won that one, but whatever. Um, how you play against these guys and all that stuff, I think it should be considered into it as well. Um, but he's got, if I'm not mistaken, I think playing against everybody that's been considered as a nominee. I want to say his record is like 5-1, 6-1, something like that. So he's won those games against those other guys, and his impact on the team, I think, is phenomenal. Right. The only thing you can say is that they're in the second seed under Milwaukee. You know,
Aren't they the third?
they're the second seed.
Oh,
Yeah,
really? I
Philly's
could
the
have
third
swore it
seed.
was.
Philly's the third seed, and that's another thing which kind of like throws me off because in years past, third seed for MVP, that's unheard of. That's unheard of. It's almost like you have to have the number one seed to be MVP, which to me makes no sense. I think there's a lot of stuff that goes into it that I think we're ignoring. We're not paying attention
Sure.
to every like detail and every factor of the game, right? Like Jason Tatum now has got the he's the only player in Celtics history to average 30 points per game. You know what I'm saying? It's stuff like that. Like if you know, I think that the narrative can add to it, but the narrative should not be what's driving. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be the deciding factor. So I think that's who should win it, but you know, I think Embiid will win it because it's a sympathy vote. To be honest, it really is. But like you said, what he's done, what he was able to do without Embiid, without Harden for so long, is phenomenal. That's phenomenal. I just don't like that he sat against Jokic.
Mhm.
Like if we're gonna have guys competing for this award, I need to see what you do against this guy. that
Very
that
fair.
should matter. That should matter. All those guys are in the 65 range of games played this season. So it is what it is. But I don't know. I think based off of record and stuff like that, you would probably say Giannis. But I think Embiid's gonna get it.
I like it. I like it. I agree with you. And you really you stole the thunder there, bro. Like you gave all types of different angles on why this is the case. Like you got it, bro. You got it. I agree with
Hey
you,
man,
and we'll see. I hope it turns out the way it should.
it should. Yeah, it should, but it's not going to. The NBA
You so do
NBA
you
is an
think it's who do you
entertainment.
think it's gonna be then?
I think it's gonna be Embiid. I think it's gonna be
You
Embiid. Embiid
but
has
why do you
been
say it's
crying.
probably not gonna be then?
No, I'll say I said it's probably not gonna be where things change.
Oh, okay, got you.
Yeah, because it's an entertainment thing now. Like
So who do
it's
you think it's gonna be? Like under those
Embiid.
guys?
Embiid.
Really? I
Yeah,
feel
I
like
think it's
it's
gonna be
gonna be
Embiid.
Giannis. I
I feel
genuinely do. I want Embiid to win it, but I think it's gonna be
I well
Giannis.
I think it's gonna be Embiid. And if it's not, it's gonna be Giannis.
Yeah,
I put it like that.
yeah.
I don't
If it's
see because
Jokic,
I'm gonna
shit,
be
I
honest,
might,
bro.
I might call Perk up. I might call. I'm just saying. I might.
Look, no knock against Jokic, right?
Yeah, I love
But
his game for real.
I love his game too. But I don't see how we went from like it was it seemed like it was almost unanimous that Jokic after the All-Star break was going to likely be the MVP. That's what it seemed like, right? And then all of a sudden in the last month,
He took it to like third gear, right? He
it's
went
like
back a little. Yeah,
I don't know what if that was a coach's decision to kind of like reel him back in a little bit to save for the playoffs, or he was just out there just I don't know what happened. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the Monstars hit him. I don't know. I,
What
it's
item of clothing do you think they would take
from
from Jokic?
Jokic,
Yeah, which
a suit
what would
jacket,
be the
suit jacket,
he dresses
because
like
he's
a
all about business
fucking
today.
I was about to say, he dresses like a Serbian lawyer, like a
Yeah,
clean, yeah. Grow some horses. Shout out
yeah.
to Jokic.
But it seemed like everybody flipped on him real fast. That's where it kind of like it got weird to me. So
Mhm.
that's to me where I don't like this narrative thing, man. We've got to go based on hardcore parameters. Like
Exactly.
bump the narrative. The narrative should play like 5-10% of deciding
Mhm.
factor.
But it's also the
Like,
season play running its course too, right? Like I feel like Embiid made that push significantly towards the end of the season. Like I feel like that's changed the conversation in general. But I do feel
yeah.
like that perk doing that, like regardless of whether or not you think that's the truth, and I don't know if you did, I didn't ask you, but regardless
Mm,
of if you, the proverbial you, whoever's listening, if you think that that's the truth, having the conversation changed the perception on Jokic in general. And
I
I
think
don't like
so.
that.
Yeah.
I think it's overcorrecting the steering wheel, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think he's deserving of the MVPs he got. Whether or not
Yes.
back to back to
Yeah.
back is deserving, you can have an argument for that. Whether he
Yeah.
was the best center this year, 100% debatable. But it's not
Mm-hmm.
like it's not a conversation. Like people act like it's not a conversation after that moment dropped. And I think they're trying to overcorrect the steering wheel.
Here's how ridiculous it is, right? Because I agree with you on that. But think about this: the Celtics were 3-1 against the Sixers this year. 3-1. Everyone has bloviated over that that last win. I gotta bring out the college words sometimes, bro.
I ain't never
that
heard that in my life. I'm Googling it right now.
it's they're overblown. Like it's being overblown. It's something where I think we're because it's saying yeah he had a 50 burger and all this other stuff. He had 50 points, right? The team played like trash. And like literally the only reason why they even won the game is because that last thing that they didn't call the foul on PJ Tucker to Derrick White on the 3-point shot. They didn't call that a foul. You see what I'm saying? Like it's things like that where I don't know. I don't know how a 50-point game overlooks 3-1 on the season.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
that's where like this narrative thing is just so weird to me because it's like anybody can take it, anybody can get it, just based on how media feels,
Mhm.
you know. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like that, but it is what it is.
I agree with you. I'm gonna be honest. I don't have much to to add to that except for bloviate, past tense, bloviated. Talk at length, especially in an inflated or empty way. Shout out to you, man. I'm someone that prides myself on my vocabulary. Like that's one of the things that I think. I shout out my girl, man. Shout out my baby Yasmina. I love you. That's
Hey,
one of the
shout out.
reasons. That's one of the reasons why I scooped. Like 100%. It was the vernacular. I never
Yes.
heard that word in my life. So I
Same
just gotta
thing.
say, shout
Really?
out to you.
Okay.
I've never I needed to define that for those of you at home, and I will be using it. So that was awesome. I
Yes.
needed that.
Yes, sir. No problem. No problem.
But all right, with that being said, it's only right that we go into the most important reason, right? The reason why we're here is playoff time, baby. All the
Thank God.
awards, none of that shit matters. It's
Yes,
playoff
sir.
time. So I think
Yes,
it's
sir.
fitting that we just talk about the playing tournament games, right? They happen, they exist, and there's still two left to be played tomorrow, right? This is being taped on Thursday, full disclosure.
Yes.
Let's discuss these games because I think they're deserving of discussion. So,
Yes, sir.
first of all, Lakers Timberwolves. What? What? I just want to say no hate at all, right? No hate at all to Anthony Edwards because he's doing everything he can out there. But I feel like towards the end and towards the fourth quarter, they just fell apart as a team. Another one of those
Mm.
games where you were in a position to win, and
Mm-hmm.
it almost felt like, yeah, you could argue refs were involved, but I'm not gonna go there, right? I'm not gonna go there. But you just hate to see those games where you feel like it got away, right? Like no matter
Mm-hmm.
how, like once again, we're gonna talk about it later too. But my Thunder in the game against the Pelicans, no matter how that game went, I wasn't gonna be sad because we were fighting the whole time, both teams, right?
For sure.
Like this game felt like you had it in the bag. I've got
Yeah.
notifications on my from Bleacher Report talking about how you're up by 10
Right.
and you get cooked and just out hustled. Like that's really what it felt like. Out
Yeah.
hustled, out muscled. And shout out to LeBron, right? It took a lot to put all that together. Like it took a lot
Mm-hmm.
of small moments to make that win happen. And it's almost like they won by 20. Like the narrative is like they cooked them and they ready to beat the Grizzlies tomorrow. Like that's how everyone's riding with this, which I find crazy. I think the Timberwolves are a good team, but they're mental. I think they're the most easily rattled team in the league, and I don't think that's Edwards.
Yes.
I think that's everyone
No.
else. So
No.
disappointed for sure because I think they had that game in the bag, man.
I think they did too. Speaking of, two quick points. I think that might actually be a player that you guys go and try and push for.
Ooh, I would
So
love that. Yeah.
that's one. Two, I want the same energy that everybody had for Pat Beverly last year with the Minnesota Timberwolves getting into the play-in tournament. I want that same energy for LeBron James. I want the same energy because
Fact.
everybody acted like this was like, oh, when he did that, when he, bro, it's a play-in. It's a play-in. What are we talking about here? You see what I'm saying? I don't like that. I don't like that. Look, it's either you give LeBron that same smoke, or we
Mhm.
apologize to Patrick Beverly. Like I will apologize because I clowned him too. I
That's a
will
fact.
apologize too. But come on, like let's be consistent. That's my only thing with that. All right.
I agree.
They beat the Timberwolves. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Because I'm starting, I'm seeing a lot of people talk about their matchup with Memphis, right? Um, how many game? One, how long do you see this series going? And two, who do you think is winning?
It's not a question to me that the Memphis Grizzlies are winning this series. It's not a question. Not a question. I don't care if John Morant is shooting guns in between games. I don't care. Like there's no way that the Grizzlies lose this. I'm taking Grizz in 6. I think
Yeah,
the only reason it's that competitive isn't even because of the Lakers. I think that's because the Grizzlies are a dysfunctional team, even though they're a
yeah,
great team and have a great upside. I think they're a dysfunctional team and still a young team, right? Say what you
yes,
want about this Lakers team. They old as fuck, right? And that helps you,
yeah.
especially at this time of the year. I will admit that. So I'm saying Grizz in 6, but if the Lakers win this series, I think it's really going to fundamentally change the way I view that team 100%. So I don't know if
I
that's a hot take. That's me hating. I hope it's
no,
not.
I agree with you on that. I think if the Grizzlies were to lose this matchup, because to me it's in the bag for them, right? Especially we've seen how gassed everybody looked in that Lakers Wolves game. Like both teams looked
Yeah.
gassed. All right. They're not going to be able to run with the Grizzlies. Um if the Grizzlies were to lose this matchup, to me at that point, it's now time to figure out what else they need to do, whether that's coaching or that's a roster change.
Yeah.
I don't see how they lose this matchup. I could actually see it going 5. I
Me
mean,
too.
I really want to say a sweep, but I'm gonna give them one that they're gonna lose, one or two. 6 makes sense. I can't see the Lakers going 7, pushing this thing to 7. I can't see that.
I agree.
I can't see that. And I think the Grizzlies, to me, I think was because they're not winning. They're not going to the Western Conference Finals this year or winning anything coming out. Well, let's put it like that. They're not going to the
Mhm.
finals. Okay, I don't care if they go to the Western Conference Finals or if they get bounced in the second round. Um, but I'll tell you this: I think what they're in need of is a veteran that can run with them. Like Steven Adams, I think
Mm,
is a good presence, right? But he's not someone that can relate to the guys in terms of like where they are right now, right? He's not. That's not his culture, you know. It's none. He's just the old guy, right? They need a veteran to come in that locker room, you know, similar to like the one they pushed out. But
mm-hmm.
I think they need somebody out there. Um, and I don't know off top who that would be. It'd be interesting to see if Draymond actually went over there. That would be interesting to see. But I think they need a veteran presence that can relate to them, whether Steven Adams is still there or not. But I think they need somebody there that can be the Al Horford of the team,
Mm-hmm.
right? He can relate, but he's still that calming presence because they're too hype, bro. They're too hype for their own good.
Yeah.
I've never seen a team as corny as this team. They are corny. All the entrances and Dylan Brooks doing, you know, whatever Dylan Brooks is doing, it's corny.
Yeah.
It's corny. So they better win this series. There's no way that they should lose it. They better win it though.
I agree with you 100%. And
Decisively.
I love how we got here, right? Because this was on the docket, right? But it just all
Oh,
naturally
really?
flows, right? This
Yeah.
this all naturally flows, right?
Yeah.
I can't. I just want to say shout out Steven Adams. That's my guy. Personally, that is
Yeah.
my guy. So I have a
Yeah.
personal connection that most don't. On the outside looking in, I think that's the easy fix. I think he is that guy for them. But
Okay.
at a certain point, you have to be willing to be a part of that, right? Like you
That's
have
true.
to be willing to be a part of that. And I think a
Yeah,
lot of
that's
these
true.
guys say what you want to say. I heard a lot of excuses, right? That it's Memphis. Like it's just Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just how it is out
Mm-hmm.
there, right?
Yeah.
That's the most ridiculous shit I ever heard. Like literally putting
Yeah.
yourself in the trenches. All the jokes are there, right? There's too many memes to cite on this show, right? About
Mm-hmm.
this whole situation. I think Steven Adams gets a bad rap for that. I think he's a fucking awesome player and someone that literally will run through a brick wall for most dudes. Like that
Oh, for
that
sure.
that's the kind of guy he is. But I agree with you. Something needs to be figured out. And honestly, at this point, I wouldn't even mind like a low key blow up of the bottom half of this roster. Like
Mm.
guys like Bane. Like in my opinion, Bane was on a trajectory to be a much better player than he has been playing the last 2 seasons. I would argue, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of those second unit guys and glue guys, I think I agree. If you get more veteran presences, people that are proven, people that slot into those roles properly, I think they'll be better off for it. But this is easily the team that it's almost like you don't want to root for them because not even
Mm-hmm.
because they're dumb, right? Like that's not even the reason, but it's just because they should be so much better than they are. Like that's
Right.
the issue with it. Like I
Right.
don't even have an issue necessarily that these things are being done. Like do whatever the fuck you want to do with your life, right? But at the end of the day, if you're squandering your opportunity, I'm going to be the first one to make sure it's noted. So
Yeah. Yeah.
just this I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed
It's
and we can
disappointed.
move on. So with that being said, we might as well close out this side of the play-in tournament, right? Because we
Yeah.
jumped between those teams. Um, the other matchup, right? The one matchup which we kind of jumped a little bit on, but I wanted to discuss Pelicans Thunder. I watched every second of this game, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and shout out to my guy Damian. I was talking my shit. I hit him up as soon as it was announced, right? As soon as the seating got announced, and I did it as AO as possible. Tagged them, name immediately in the tweet, and then I go, "We coming for that ass." Hashtag Thunder up. That was it. That was the tweet. That was the tweet, and I was right.
Hashtag.
And
Hashtag pause.
no pause, no all intended. We coming
All
for that
play.
ass, and nobody believed. Right? Nobody believed.
Yeah.
Everyone was shocked.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say all these young guys are really showing up in huge ways. Like hilariously, he texted me at halftime, right? Because I'm not gonna berate you, right? I'm not gonna just keep
Mm.
texting you. That's disrespectful. When people do that shit to
Yeah.
me, I get really mad. So I'm not that
Yeah.
guy. I
Me
didn't
too.
even
Me
text him,
too.
but he texted me. He's like, Lou Dort need to chill. And I was like, yo, I feel you. But come the end of the game, Dort, Shea, Giddy, all of these guys produced on a level where we've seen it. I've seen it, right? I've watched these
Mm-hmm.
games more than most, but
Mm-hmm.
the narrative says these guys shouldn't be performing that way. And
Right.
honestly, it felt like we were in control of that game. And honestly, the Pelicans, shout out BI, because Brandon Ingram was the reason they were in this game at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is a dog, man, and I'm excited to
Yeah.
see them next year because they have all the pieces to be a great team if health permits. Hated to not even see Jose Alvarado out there, right? Grand Theft Alvarado.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I say all this long-winded shit to say they threw away the game, right? The Pelicans threw away the game as far as giving themselves a chance to win. I will
Yeah. Yeah.
admit
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
but a lot of credit needs to be put on the fact that we put so much pressure on them and we ran them out of their own building. Like
Right.
that's why I'm really excited about this young core, man, because in a lot of ways, man, especially with I think that with the big three right now, those three guys I named,
Mm-hmm.
it's the same thing as Tim Duncan. Their talent doesn't jump out at you, it doesn't scream at you,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the way they perform and the way they make their matchups work for them and they're not
Mm-hmm.
forcing things, beautiful basketball to watch. So can't be more proud and looking forward to the next game.
Quickly, let me ask you this real fast. The Pelicans. What like
If Zion is playing, we're not even in a conversation of winning that game.
Zion? So I don't like to do this dumping thing on players, right? I try to steer away from that because it's a stupid thing. But when it comes to actually like discussing impact, right? What's going on with him now is exactly why when he was coming out, like during that draft, I was saying I would take RJ Barrett over Zion. Like Zion was the one that was marketable, and like that's who you're gonna put, like that's who's gonna put everybody in seats and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Barrett was a guy I was like, to me, makes more sense to go with long term because he's gonna actually be out there. Like I couldn't see Zion being someone that was going to be a guy that was playing 60 plus games a season. I didn't see that based off his style. So, what do you think needs to happen? Because at this point, the only thing I can see for Zion to, and I think it's early to say trade him and all this. I think I heard someone else say that earlier today, and that's stupid to me. Um, I think they did a great job of building the team out, right? I think they did a great job of like Willie Green is a phenomenal coach.
I agree. Keep his name
Um,
out of the chopping block. He doesn't
that
deserve to be in that
because
conversation.
coaches are the first guys that are like the ones that people look at when things don't work. I think what he needs to do is to actually work on his game. And I think you and I talked about this before, but I think what he actually needs to do is to start working on his mid range and focus on mid range. Don't do the athleticism thing too much. Right? He's doing that way too much. Like I know it looks good in the moment. And it hypes the team up, it hypes the arena up and all that stuff. I get that. But if you're talking about like long term for his career, what they need to actually do is force him to work on his mid range. I'm not even saying go out to the perimeter and shoot threes all the time. I'm just saying be in the mid range. You know,
That's
I think
brilliant.
he would.
I've never even thought of that, but it's so simple, but it's so
It's
true. Like
simple.
if he had a Westbrook mid range, and Westbrook's mid range is not it's not elite. It's not. But what it brings to the table and what it forces the defense to account for, I agree. That's such a sound point. And it saves you, right? Shout out to this.
Yeah.
This is going to be such a random thing, right? Such a random thing. But I just full disclosure, I think this is important. I'm sure at some point, whether it's his PCP, right? Because you ain't getting this from the team doctor, his actual PCP, right? I'm
Yeah.
sure at some point he came after the fifth time with having an exact different injury, right? Like, oh, how can I do this? What should I do with this injury? What should I do with this injury? By the time
Mm.
you get to a certain point, the doctor's just like, you got to stop playing basketball. Like at
Right.
some point, the doctor's like,
Right.
that's the only way you're not gonna get injured. Like,
Yep.
and it's crazy that he's been this unlucky, right? That's what you could chalk it up to. But I agree with you. At this point, you have to adjust. You have to do what you have to do to adjust. And I don't think it's a conscious thing. I think when you have a Ferrari, you hitting that bitch. Like I just think that's how it
Right.
is. Like
Right.
so I think it's hard for him to reel that in. And I don't know, like it's really gonna take a lot more than just like it's gonna take a mentality change. And as someone that's a
Mm-hmm.
big fan of combat sports, that's the hardest thing to do, to change
It
your
is.
mentality about the
Yeah.
way you look at not just yourself, but the way you interplay with everything. Like that's deep. So
Right.
it's gonna take a lot for him to put himself in a better position. But I do think the narrative is unfortunate right now and not on his side. But I think there
Mm-hmm.
is a world where in 3 years, we're not even talking about this being a problem with him anymore. I think that's very legit. But
Well,
those things need to happen for us to get there, right?
right, right. And I think he needs to study Derrick Rose because there's no way, like, what happened to Rose, like, after his injury, it's remarkable that he's still playing, right?
Mhm.
It's remarkable because he decided to change his game. You're not relying solely on athleticism. You're relying on basketball IQ at that point. You're relying um on actually watching where your teammates are positioned and trying to actually outsmart the defense, not just blowing through them, right? Because like that's like the route he's on. He's limiting himself to maybe an 8-year career, and that's based off of name. But based off impact, I think I think we've seen the peak with his athleticism in terms of his impact. It's almost like Ben Simmons, right? Ben
Nowhere
Ben
near, nowhere
No, no,
near,
no, no.
brother.
I'm not even talking about in terms I'm not even talking about the same thing, but just hear me out on this one. Ben relied on his athleticism, the dunks and all that stuff, right? And absolutely refused to add to that. And you see what's happening to him, right? He's just sitting on the sideline collecting his check. And
That's
whether
way
he's
more than there's so much going on there. I don't.
I know, but it's like whether he's actually hurt or not,
Mhm.
it's like refusing to work on your game and actually, put another tool in your toolbox to actually do something different to help your team. You see what's going on with him, right? He's now a guy that's being viewed as we need to trade him. But how do you trade him? You can't trade someone like that because guess what?
Mhm.
He has no value. Right now, today, as is, Ben Simmons has no value.
So you got to give them a pick. You got to
Like,
give them a
yeah.
pick to take that salary.
give us Ben and a pick or two, and okay, we can take it. I agree with that. I don't want to see that for Zion. And if he doesn't work on his game, we're gonna see where it is that he's gonna be sitting on the sidelines like this,
Mhm.
whether he's healthy
Oh
or
man,
not.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
He's
like,
he's he's so young, bro. Both of these guys are
I
young, but
know that's the
Zion is
crazy
so much
thing.
younger than yeah, it's crazy.
That's the crazy thing, and that's why I think if he were to work on his game, there's nothing you really need to do with this roster.
Exactly. It's there.
There's nothing.
Every
There's
Trey
nothing you have to
Murphy
do
is
with it.
is bro, Trey Murphy is a problem. Like I
Right.
was losing my mind watching him ball. So there's a lot of
Right.
pieces on that team. I agree with you. And it's so weird because it's almost like with the pieces slotting in and out, right? It wasn't just Zion this year either. There was times where BI was out,
Yep.
other players on the team too. Like
Yep.
they were forced to change their identity multiple times. When Zion's on the floor, it's a different team. Like the way they run the offense is
Yes.
different. So
Yes.
Once again, Willie Green deserves no hate. If anything, he deserves praise for the fact that they were even still in that conversation. And
Right.
honestly, probably should have won that game. Like, probably
Yeah.
should have had a chance to win that game.
Yeah.
So I'm not hating, right? I thought, honestly,
Yeah.
coming into the play-in, I was like, I don't even want to be in the play-in. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
give me that pick. But
Yeah.
now, right now that we're here to see them step up in that way and compete, it still felt like it shouldn't have happened that way. Like it still
Yeah.
felt like, even though I'm happy with the way my team is advancing and the way they looked, like it still felt like, man, in some ways we forced them to fuck up, but we got away with something. Like that's how it felt, in
Right.
my opinion. I feel like this matchup was way harder for us than the Timberwolves matchup. I'm gonna say that,
Mm-hmm.
full disclosure, and we're gonna get there next. So I thought that's a good segue there. But I agree
Yeah.
with you, man. It's unfortunate that they've had to deal with these things. I hope this isn't a part of the narrative moving forward because it's not nothing you're doing. Like it's not like we're
Right.
mad at Zion for, yo, bro, were you really dunking again? Like,
Yeah.
nah,
Yeah.
bro, like you're gonna do your thing, and I wish the best for you. Like at the end of the day,
Right.
it's unfortunate that your health has made this conversation like this, but I agree. If he
Mm-hmm.
keeps going down, keeps being injured, they keep being forced to readjust. At that point, it's almost like, man, I wish I'd had a different asset because at least they would have
Mm-hmm.
been here, like you said.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
man, it's crazy, and there's so many ways this could go, right? Like in 3 years, they could be the Bobcats of the NBA again. Like that can
Yes.
happen again for this team
Yes.
just
Yes.
because of circumstance. And that would be one of the worst, one of the biggest what ifs, right? The mythical
Mm-hmm.
Pelicans team, what they could have been
Yep.
had everything worked out the way it should have. I'm rooting for them. I like their team. I like their core. I like
Mm-hmm.
the way they are too. Like they're fun to root for. They don't
Yeah.
make it
Yeah.
hard to enjoy their success. So
Yeah.
I'm wishing the best for them, but I agree, something needs to fucking change.
It
But
needs
with
to.
all that being said, let's get to this AFC matchup now because I'm excited.
Yes, sir.
I'm not gonna belabor my points. I'm really interested to hear your perspective because obviously you're unbiased. I'm biased, 100%. I was sweating. I thought the Pelicans were gonna beat us, 100%.
Yes.
Full disclosure, this is so much of an easier matchup with us, even if Gobert was playing, and he's not.
Yeah.
Honestly, I kind of wanted him to play. I'm like that.
Yeah.
That adds a little wrinkle, if anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So kind of sucks that he's out for mental reasons more so than actually having to play against him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just think we have so many different guys to run at Edwards,
Mm-hmm.
and Cat isn't going to cook us on the boards. Like our biggest problem, I would say, as a team, with the way the roster is constructed, is facing a great big man. Like no matter what, when we get out this series and we face the Nuggets, we gonna have problems. Like let me make that
Yeah.
very clear. They
Yeah.
don't have the team to do that to us. While Cat can cook offensively, defensively, that's a, what is the word again? It's not mariachi. I'm not trying to be racist. Okay. What is the word? The bull guys, the guys with the,
Oh,
you know,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
matador. There we go.
Matador.
There we
Matador.
go.
Yeah. Yeah.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he is a matador on defense. We
Mm.
are going to be the same way we led the paint
Yeah.
against the Pelicans. We are going to
Yeah.
be leading by, I would argue, 10 points in the paint.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
honestly, I would be more surprised if we lose to the Wolves than I am that we beat the Pelicans. That's all I got to
I
say.
I agree with you on that. I don't see anything for the Wolves. I don't like their team. I don't like
And I
that
feel so
roster.
bad for Ant. Yeah, I feel
I
so
feel
bad for
I
him.
feel bad for Ant too, man, because he doesn't deserve this. Uh, and to be honest, I don't think Kyle Anderson does either. But which, by
Oh
the way,
man,
I didn't know he was Jamaican until he fought until this whole thing with Rudy Gobert. I was like, oh, Rudy
Mbate
dodged a
boy.
huge bullet. Like he's lucky that's all that happened because that Jamaican fire, bro.
And bro, the most bullshit. I just, let's touch on this, right? Because we're touching
Yeah,
on it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
As a combat sports fan, my favorite discussions is NBA fights. You know why? Because everyone comes to me to talk about it. Everyone's like, "Oh, you
Yeah.
saw it? Yo, they fighting in the NBA."
No,
That was not an attempt at cracking him at all.
bro. I'm gonna
And
tell
and
you
the fact
what.
that, yo, bro, this man really hit the Izzy Adesanya versus Yoel Romero, the jab and step back. Ain't no way, dogs. Ain't no way. You really trying to act hard against your own teammate, and then
Yeah.
you sticking and moving. There's no, you
Yeah.
don't stick and move in a fucking street fight, bro. You can't do that.
No. And on
You
top of that,
punching
it
your
was
teammate,
weak.
bro. It wasn't even a punch. You missed.
It
Yo,
was weak. I'm willing to bet the reason why Kyle got upset is because of how weak that was. Not that he got hit
like
or
if you want to
tapped.
hit me
Hit
for
me.
real.
But if you're gonna hit me, I want you to actually do it. Don't
Fuck
don't
was
do
that? You a
that.
bitch.
What's
He's
that?
chasing him. And then he looked like he was gonna run. Like for a second. There was a second there
He
where he looked like he was looking for the exits, bro. There was a
yeah,
second there where he was like,
yeah,
oh, I didn't know he was gonna get that mad. Like,
yeah.
what the fuck was that? Rudy Gobert, there was no question before it was talked about how you were soft. There is no question. There's no way you starting a fight with someone who's supposed to be your man's, and you're not even about it. You're not even trying to fight.
I
Crazy,
like.
crazy.
I can actually respect Draymond for actually connecting, right? Like I don't
Dropped
like
him, slumped
he
him.
dropped.
Joe
I
Rogan was
mean,
like, "Oh!"
uh,
Joe Rogan went crazy.
like I can like I don't like I don't the whole thing of like fighting your teammate and everything like that. To me, there's nothing good that comes out of that, right? But
Mhm.
if you're gonna do it, you better
Fucking
hit.
mean it.
You better
Fucking mean
actually
it,
mean that mess, man. Like, come on, bro. Don't do that. And Draymond actually had the audacity to come out and say he loved the fact that Rudy Gobert stood up for himself. I'm like, this is the last guy that ever needs to discuss anything
you
about
talking
fights
about
with him.
yourself through someone else at that point. At
He
that point,
is.
you're not even
He
talking
is.
about the truth. You just
Yeah.
you just redirecting it to yourself,
I That's a great point because there's no way in hell that that was a respectful shot.
bro.
I don't. There's not one person. There's not one person that can actually say they respected that
Crazy.
at all, at all. So no, I agree with you, bro. I think there's no way that the Wolves win this game.
That's a fact.
This
Listen,
isn't.
you heard the man.
There's no way.
Take your great grandmother, sell her. I don't give a fuck. Bet the farm. There's no way we're losing this game to the Wolves, bro.
They
And I'm
can't.
saying that
They can't.
confidently.
Yeah.
So let's
No, I
preview the
agree.
series then, right? Because we got to.
Yes. Yes.
OKC versus Denver. I'll let you take the lead on this one. How do you think that plays out?
I actually think OKC can push it to 5 or 6. I'll put it like I think because it's not a sweep. Like I think the one thing that people do with teams that they don't watch is that they overlook because based off the name, right? Like
Mhm.
OKC, what's associated with OKC right now? Youth, inexperience, right? But I think there's something to be said about where they are right now without Chet even being on the floor. You know what I'm saying? I think that there's something to be said about this team being in this position where they could they're gonna win. They're gonna get into the series. There's no way they lose to the Wolves. Um, however, if there is an upset in this series, I don't want to
Bro,
hear anything else about Denver.
I'm living
I don't
for it. Like at
I
this
don't I
point,
don't want to hear
if we
anything
get that
else.
eighth seed, listen, I'm gonna be unbearable, bro.
Oh,
Unbearable,
I want to see every petty act that you can come up with. I want to see it.
bro.
I want to see it.
Imagine we cook the first seed and yo, bro. At that point, I'm just putting Thunder 2023 champs in my bio. Like at that point, I'm all in. I'm all in. Crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna say realistically 6 games, and the only reason I say that is I think we're one of the few teams that's equipped to play in that building
Hmm.
effectively. I think that is our
Yes.
style anyway. You're not gonna run us
Yes.
out of the building, and
Yes.
and that's not even the direction they're really headed in either. They got a lot of guys that are slow-footed and banged up as well.
Yes.
Also one of my favorite how do I say this without sounding ridiculous? One of my favorite personas in the league, Aaron Gordon, who has somehow turned into a Streets 2 character. Like he went away. This isn't even NBA Jam. This is Streets 2. So shout
Yeah.
out to Aaron Gordon. But as far as like actually competing against the Nuggets, once again, Jokic is going to torch us. That's why I will never pick us. Like, I'm not going to be like, we're going to confidently beat the Nuggets. And there's some matchups where I would say we could pull an upset, but that's not the scenario we're in. I'm going to say Nuggets in 6, being realistic. But I do think we're uniquely equipped to play against this Nuggets team for sure.
I agree. Nuggets in 6.
All right. Nuggets in 6. Let's do it. I'm
I don't care
pulling it
who they
in.
play, actually.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sure the other side of the bracket is going to take half the time we just did on this because the East is not really fun, right? I feel like the West play-in was extremely entertaining. I'm not exactly sure I feel the same way. But we might as well discuss the games anyway, right? So let's start with Heat versus the Hawks, man. I just want your thoughts on this one because right?
Wait.
You're playing the Hawks now. How did you feel that game went, right? Like your recap, were you surprised that the Hawks beat the Heat and solidified that 7th seed?
No. I like, to be honest, Miami has been overrated this season. I get everybody talking about how they were Jimmy Butler 3 away from going to the finals. Whatever. They didn't make it.
Doesn't matter.
Right. It doesn't matter. And to be honest, I thought they were kind of overplaying themselves last year anyway. I'm still I'm very interested in how Duncan Robinson has basically played himself out of the rotation with that contract. 1. 2, Kyle Lowry. All right. I mean,
Kyle got the yams, bro. Kyle got the yams, bro. Pause.
Heavy pause.
If anyone needs to be on a fucking dietary plan that needs to figure these things out, and I'm the last dude to be saying that, it's Kyle Lowry. But continue. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I think what he was supposed to bring to this team is not there, right? On the flip side, Bam Adebayo, the one guy who was talking a lot throughout this season about how he should be Defensive Player of the Year, he should have won it last year, and he's one of a few guys that can actually play 1 through 5, as if Marcus Smart doesn't do that. He's a guy that, to me, I don't get him. I don't get him. At least not in that team, in that roster. I don't get him, because when you're talking about being this great defensive player and you're not effective in moments when you need to be effective. He got cooked, bro. Like, let's just call it what it is. He got cooked.
They'll be better off if the Dragon Goran Dragic was out there versus having Kyle. Yeah, insane.
Yeah. So I don't know what they're doing with this roster.
And I just want to preface this real quick. I think both of us can agree with this statement. It's not like we're not surprised because the Hawks are good. Nah, the Hawks are trash too. The Hawks are very trash.
Yes.
But it's just because
they stink less.
We see through the Heat this year.
Yes.
The Heat is literally the grandfathered in playoff team this year. Obviously, their record made them the 7th seed. So wait, right? That's correct. Yeah. So it's insane that they're even in this position. But I can't think of another team that, once again, all the narratives could have been in the Eastern Conference Finals or whatever, that put themselves in this position right after where they were expected to contend. It's not like they bottomed out. It's not like they're the Rams of last year, right? They were supposed to be a top 4 seed and almost grandfathered in as one. So
I expected 6, 5 or 6. Somewhere in that range.
I know, and when you did, I was like, that sounds petty. Like I remember, I was like, that sounds petty, and here we are. So once again, Nostradamus over there doing the damn thing. I love it.
Yeah, man. Hey, it is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, the game wasn't even particularly good from the Hawks either. Just
No, it's not. It wasn't. It
just
wasn't.
fucking just a shit show. Literally a shit show. But
One of
let's
my
preview this game. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, but one of my guys actually hit me up and said that he sees the Hawks actually winning 1 or 2 games against the Celtics, which I laughed at, but
I could see one, two. You're pushing it. You're
I
pushing
don't know where they win it.
it. It'll have to be a ridiculous Trey game. That's what it'll have to be because Dejounte Murray is gonna be he's gonna be consistent, but at the end of the day, you need a ridiculous Trey game in order to have a chance at winning.
Yeah, I
Because
think
there's so many
everybody needs to win this
defenders. Like
game.
that's the problem. There's so many
That's my point.
defenders.
That's my point. I don't
Gonna give
see
them so
any
many
of that
looks.
happening
Yeah.
for any of those guys on that roster. Like, and it's not overlooking them. It's just the roster is not set up, excuse me, to actually win a game against the Celtics.
Mhm. I mean, unless the shooters go crazy, like a lot of things need to happen. And once again, we're prefacing all this stuff. So I love that
Yeah,
we're already previewing this series either. Then, so what's your final prediction then for Celtics Hawks?
this is sweet.
This is sweet. Get the brooms out.
Like, respectfully, I don't see the Hawks winning a game. I'm trying to actually see it. I'm legitimately because to me anything can happen.
Mhm.
Like anything can happen. I can't see it.
Hmm.
And
I'm
it's
gonna be
possible that
honest.
Gallinari plays.
I'm gonna go Celtics in five. I'm gonna give them one.
That's
I'm gonna give them
fine.
one,
Yeah,
and it's gonna
that's
be in
cool.
your home state most likely, right? If they do get one.
Yeah, if they
But
if they win here,
I
can't
got
even
a
see them
question
winning here,
though,
bro.
for gratification purposes, right? Because I think it's pretty self-evident. We can move on from this. But for
Yeah.
gratification purposes, would you have rather played the Heat?
I didn't care who we played, to be honest. I like
You
I,
said it ain't a rivalry if y'all didn't win.
it's
Like
bro, like it's not. It's just they're annoying. That's the reason why I like that we're playing Atlanta. They're not annoying.
they
Like
are
Miami,
annoying. What the fuck are you talking about?
no, no, no. I'm talking about compared to Miami fans going
Oh, the
against Boston.
fans.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, no, 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 no. The fans are what I'm talking about. They are not they're annoying in certain respects, but they know who they are. Like they know the team that they root for. The
Mhm.
team is not all that. So I don't it's gonna be a peaceful series, to be honest. Whereas going against Miami would have been just annoying as hell. That's the only reason why I didn't really want to go against Miami because I didn't want the headache of the fans. I'm
Mhm.
not like neither one of their teams scare me, respectfully. Neither one of the teams scare me. So yeah.
Yep. All fair. All fair. I don't think it was a matter of scare, just more so like to stick it to him again, right? Yeah, I thought yeah, we're gonna have a
Oh,
chance,
we
but
already did that.
all fair.
We already did
All
that.
fair. So let's get into this last playing game. Uh Heat versus the Bulls.
Yeah.
Can't believe once again, can't believe that this is where we are. I watched the majority of the Bulls game as well against
Mm,
Toronto.
hmm.
Um that team fucking sucks. Like I love
Yeah.
DeRozan. I love Levine. It took Herculean efforts from both of them. As a
Yeah.
team, they need to trade some of these defensive guys. I'm looking at you, Pat Bev. I'm sorry. Caruso is much better at what you do. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Trade some of those defensive guys and get some shooters because if they had shooters, they'll actually be a compelling team.
Yeah.
And once again, I'm excited to see Lonzo back, all that stuff.
Lonzo ain't
I
coming
think
back, bro.
if the Heat lose this game, bottom out. Go for Wembenyama because ain't no way, dogs. Ain't no way. Ain't no way y'all come in as the seventh seed and lose to this Bulls team that I just watched in a game that they shouldn't have won against Toronto that they won. Another
Mm,
playing game that they ran them out of their own building. Um,
I'm gonna be honest. I don't see Miami winning this game.
holy shit, bro! No
I don't.
way.
No,
How do the
I don't
Bulls
see them
win?
winning it. I don't know, but I don't see them losing. And it's because like they actually like I'll put it like this. There's fight there. When Bam is sitting here like sulking because he can't get the ball, like there's other things you can be doing. Defend 1 through 5. Like that's what you said you're good at, right? defend, defend. Go do your thing, bro. You want to be defensive player of the year? Act like it. Miami's Miami's body language doesn't seem like they're confident to me. I think the reason why they celebrated Udonis Haslam at the end of the regular season is because they knew good and doggone well they weren't going to be in the playoffs. Like I think that's to me that's how it feels. Hmm. I don't see how this team, and it's weird to say this because we just saw the Bulls beat the Raptors, right? That aren't a great team either. But
and it felt like they got away with it. Like it felt like they got away with it.
They did.
Crazy.
So I'm like just coming off of that. I don't see how they lose. And I think it's very possible
that's the hottest take out of the show. Like
I'm not trying to be hot. I'm not trying to be, bro.
I know you're not.
It's just what I just like based off of like what I'm seeing. Like I can actually see the Bulls having pride in certain areas of the game that the Heat don't. Not this roster.
Is that Spo's fault?
I don't know, bro. At this point, I don't know.
You know what I blame?
As hell.
You know what I blame? The Sowins. The Sowins.
I thought the same thing, bro. I'm because when Jimmy popped out with those locks, I was like, this is not gonna be a good season for them. Like it's gonna be a horrible season for them because there's no way that Miami is gonna do anything of significance. Even if they beat the Bulls, they're gonna get thrashed. There's no way. I think they'll get swept. Like to me, I think it's better if you're talking about Miami from a strategic standpoint. I think it's better you purposefully lose this game and you see what you can do about the draft pick for next year.
I think all things considered, I love that perspective because that's how I felt going into. I didn't even want to be in the play-in. Like I didn't even want to be in the play-in.
Yeah,
I can't fathom that that's how they feel, but that's how they play.
That's how they play.
Wow.
So, bro, because think about it. Like what Jimmy Butler did the other night. I forgot what his stats were. I think it was somewhere around like 6 of 14 from the field or something like that. Something very weak. If he's doing that against Toronto, let me ask like this. Do you agree that right now the Bulls are a better team than the Raptors?
Right now, what the game that I saw, yes. And that's only because the way the Raptors fell apart. It's not because they actually are a better team.
Right. But based off of what we saw, if they were able to do that against the Raptors, I don't see how they can't do that against the Heat. And there's no reason for them to do it either. Like, I think the Bulls have just as much reason to lose this game as the Miami Heat do. Because what are you playing for? Exactly. You're gonna go against Milwaukee and get thrashed again. Like it's either one of them. Whoever Milwaukee has to play is getting swept.
Bro, I think you're right. You know why? Because they have the only play-in tournament MVP to ever exist on their team. Like that has to be the reason. You just convinced me. I'm changing my pick. My pick was Miami. You're right, bro. You fucking got it, bro. Bro, honestly though, let's be real here. Let's be real here because I think this deserves to be said, right?
Yeah.
Beyond the head case stuff, beyond the strategic stuff, both of these teams at the peak of their powers, I picked the Heat 10 times out of 10. Am I wrong?
If they're playing,
they come in the best night of their season. Both of these teams have the best night of their season.
Yes.
I'm picking the Heat 10 times out of 10. So that's why I felt dirty, considering that I'm picking the Bulls. I mean, if we're not
coming in the same way,
considering injuries as if they are the way they are, not like if they were healthy. I'm saying everyone playing to the top of their potential, given where they're at. I'm picking the Heat. 10 times out of
I'll pick
10.
the Heat too. I'll pick the Heat too.
So it's
I
like
just
they shouldn't lose this game, and if they do, it's embarrassing. I don't care if it was on purpose. I don't care
yeah,
if
yeah, yeah.
things fell apart and they blow it up in the off season. I don't care. Y'all
Yeah.
embarrass yourselves for real.
No, I agree. I agree. I just Miami's got to do something different because they're trying to do the same thing. Like they're living off of their success from the bubble right
Mm-hmm.
now. They're still
They're
living
still
off
living
of
off
that.
like LeBron. It's crazy.
Right? They're living off of that. They're living off the fact that they fought against Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, right? Like it's not based off of what they're doing now. It's just off of the past. They're like the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm. Fair. Crazy. Well, I'm still riding with the pick. You
Yeah.
convinced me, but I'm still riding with the pick. So this is actually significant because this is the first time, obviously, both of us picked OKC, where we actually
hmm
have to contemplate both matchups, right? Let's
Yes.
contemplate both
Yes.
matchups.
Yes.
We know we're both picking the Bucks. We can say that right
Mm.
now. No matter both
Yes.
teams, we're picking the
Yes.
Bucks. Honestly, both teams at the top of their power. Which team gives the Bucks a harder series?
Miami will give them a harder series just because the games are going to be closer, but they get swept.
Hmm,
They're getting swept. As
I agree.
currently constructed, I I put it to you like this: they have not found their replacement for PJ Tucker.
Yep, that's a great point. And he's
So
he's across that hall.
exactly. So like I don't get it, bro. I don't know what it is that Miami is planning on doing. What they thought they were gonna do, right? I don't know. But they need to be in the sweepstakes for some free agents. And they need to figure out who the hell they're going to be able to get. They need to
And
figure out
quick.
who they're going to
Yeah.
cut now, because to be honest, I think at this point, let's say they lose this matchup against the Bulls. At that point, Jimmy Butler needs to say, "I'm out."
100%.
Like this
And,
loyalty
and
thing,
Bam stuck.
and Bam
Jimmy's
stuck.
like,
Yeah,
yeah.
this loyalty thing, I like. I'm not with it with certain players. Jimmy Butler
Oh,
needs to
Jimmy
go.
Butler to OKC. Oh, oh, I
Oh,
need that.
that's the
I need
guy.
that. I think
Yeah,
I need that.
that would be stupid.
I need
Because
that.
Jimmy and Shea would be they go crazy. They'd go
I'm
crazy.
sorry. I'm sorry. I just did that. That was an
No, no, no,
outburst. That was
no.
the
I
biggest outburst
appreciate
of the
that because that
show.
was beautiful. That was beautiful. But yeah, he needs to go. He needs to go. But I
Very
don't
fair.
care, bro. I don't care who Milwaukee is playing. They're getting
It's a sweep.
swept. It's a
I'm more
sweep
generous than you. I would give the Heat 5 games.
right now.
I would say the Bulls get swept. Yeah, right now. I think Jimmy Butler has a game. Playoff Jimmy is a real thing. Whether or not you hate
I
you
no
get mad at
playoff
me for
Jimmy.
saying it or not.
No, no, no.
Playoff
Playoff
Jimmy's a
Jimmy
real thing.
is playoff Jimmy is a real thing. Here's the thing though. In order for playoff Jimmy to actually make an impact, the others have to do stuff too. This to me, this is not on Jimmy. This is on the others. If you have not found your replacement for PJ Tucker, if you don't have a legitimate answer defensively as a team for Giannis, what are you gonna do? Because Giannis is a bowling ball, bro.
Foul. We gonna foul.
You should, right? You should. But even if it's an
Hacker Greek.
offensive foul, but see, here's the thing: even if it's Giannis actually like creating the contact and actually it's an actual offensive foul, they're gonna call it on the defense.
Oh, here we go.
No, 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 no. This is not a bias thing. Like this is
I
what
know.
he does.
Yep.
That's what he does.
Against
It's what
everyone.
Embiid does
Not
against
yeah,
everyone.
against everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's everyone.
Shea
That's his
does
style
it
of
too,
play.
right? Shea does it too. I can't.
Put it like this: his is not as violent. Giannis is violent. Embiid's is violent, and that's where I don't see Miami having an answer for that. So they
I
get
love that.
swept.
Yeah. Fair. I'll give Miami one game. I will say the Bulls get swept. Personally. After saying, bro, that Bulls team is bad, bro. if
They're
Zach
horrible.
Levine if Zach Levine was not that dude, because it wasn't even DeMar and Zach, it was mostly Zach Levine. If Zach
Yeah,
Levine wasn't that dude, he's a guy that needs to get paid too. I don't like him on our team personally, but he's a guy that needs to get paid appropriately, and I wouldn't mind him leaving either.
he needs to
But
leave too.
once again, he needs to leave too. Let me
I
put
don't
this
care.
down because
I don't
I
care
just
how
want
this
to have it
goes.
just in case, right? I'm
Yeah.
not even gonna put Wolves versus Nuggets in here to talk
For
about. There's
what?
no need. There's no need.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're wasting your
perfect.
time.
All right, so we got 3 series left, right? And in my
Yeah.
opinion, no wait, 4. Sorry. In my opinion, these are the most fun to talk about, right? And
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
exciting. That's an
Yeah.
exciting place to be. So let's start these conversations on the Western Conference side of the bracket. The 3 versus the 6 seed, Kings versus the defending champions, the Warriors. All California battle.
Yeah.
How do you preview this one, man?
I think Golden State comes out, but to be honest, it's not going to be an easy game or easy series for them.
Hmm. What's the
Um,
what's the difference? Do you think?
what's the difference between the two teams right now?
No, for the Warriors to really put it on them and be able to come out on top. Like what is the difference between them as
Well,
teams that gives you confidence?
one one thing right now that I don't like about Golden State is that they don't travel well. Like
Mm-hmm.
they just don't this year. They don't. I mean, Wiggins is coming back, so if Wiggins can get into form, it's going to take a minute for him to get into shape, though. Like
Yep.
action in shape. That's going to take a
Mm-hmm.
little second. Um, which I think this would be a good series for him to do that in. So they don't travel that well, but I honestly think that there's certain guys, of course, that haven't played up to par this year. Um, and if they were to get that into gear, of course, I think they can go further, like really far into the deep into the playoffs. I would love a rematch, to be honest, because I
Mm-hmm.
want my lick back, but I don't see it happening. So I don't know, man. I think they're gonna win. I think they're gonna win. I think it's a great matchup for them, but Draymond is overlooking them. Draymond is overlooking Sacramento. He should not be doing that. Like, yeah, I know people have been making this argument that Mike Brown knows the team and everything like that, which he does. He does. But I'm not even using that
Because that don't
as
matter
a
when
point.
Steph Curry's
That
cooking. It don't
nah,
matter how
I
much you
don't.
know him. Yeah.
Yeah. It does not. Um, I just think that this team is young, scrappy, hungry. I think the Kings are actually what the Grizzlies think they are. Because they're a team that is setting themselves up for the future. The Grizzlies are not.
Mm.
They're not setting themselves up for the future. They're just thinking about right now, right? Which is fine in certain respects. But again, like we talked about, I think what's going to actually take them further is that veteran presence. Harrison Barnes on this team is a great look. I like him with this team. I like that veteran presence with him. For like the last 2 years, I was like, well, 2.5, 3 years, I was wondering why he was even still there because it's like, dude, go to a contender, right? But I like him being there, and I like what he brings to the table. So
He gets a
I'm
lot
not
of
gonna.
those Iguodala style, like we need a
Yes,
bucket moments. He gets those.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I'm not gonna outright say that this is gonna be like a walk in the park for the Warriors because it's not. It's gonna be a hard fought series for them. Is it possible that the Warriors lose in this series? It is possible. It is because they have not traveled well.
For sure.
You know
So
what I'm
what's
saying?
your official prediction?
Who's the higher
Warriors and
seed?
what? Yeah.
I'm gonna say Warriors and I'll say Warriors in six.
Okay.
I'll say Warriors in six. I would not be surprised if it was seven. And if it's a 7 game series, this is in Sacramento. That's gonna be very interesting.
Very interesting.
That's gonna be very interesting. I don't know their crowd like that because they've been out of the picture for the last 16 years. But if they could push this to 7, that's going to be very interesting. I think at that point it's 50-50.
I like that. Quick comment on that. Obviously, it's different sports, different crowds, right? You would think, but they go crazy for Uriah Faber over there. So I think they
Yeah, that's
have the
true.
capacity to go crazy, right? I think
That's true.
as a fan base, they have that capacity. Man, I love the way you set this up. This is brilliant. As someone who made the Warriors pick for all the reasons I did last year, you
Mm-hmm.
would think I
Mm-hmm.
would be aligned with you, but I'm on the opposite side entirely, man. I think Sacramento made this look easy. Give me Sacramento in 5. I think this, and this is
Whoa.
why. This is why defensively the Kings don't get the credit they deserve. The Warriors have fell apart defensively lately. And
Yes, they
there's
have.
one guy that's missing. There's one guy that's missing. I don't know if you heard of him. Somehow he made it in the top 15 of jersey sales. But Jordan Poole is a lost
Yeah.
case. He is no longer a part of the pool. He is lost at sea. The brother has lost his ability to be who he is supposed to be out there. It's crazy.
All right.
I don't
All right.
understand what they're missing from him. And defensively, the Kings are not some shitty team on defense just because they're
They're not.
the number one team on offense.
Yeah.
Currently, they have them ranked 7th. I think Warriors are tied for 11th. So you know what that really means? You're 14th because all of y'all
Mm-hmm.
are tied for 11. So
Yeah.
when and once again, these are all on papers. But when I think of how these
Yes.
teams match up, like you said, the Warriors don't travel well. Well, guess what? Who travels the best out of any team in the NBA? It's this Kings team. Like it
Mm-hmm.
is this Kings team.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a battle all season. I think they're not going to be able to keep up with them offensively, which sounds crazy when you have Steph Curry on your
Wild.
team.
That's
When you have Steph
wild.
Curry on your team,
Yeah.
I'm excited for Clay. I think Clay stepped up in a big way this season, in a way that
Yes.
almost didn't feel possible last year. So shout out to
Yeah.
Clay. I think he makes this like he is the X factor, right? I think no matter what, if Clay is balling the way he should be, then I tend to side with you. But I just feel like with the way these teams have played all season and the idea of it's okay, we've made it to the 6 because we're the champs and we're gonna win. I disagree with that entirely, man. I think
Oh
this
no, I
a
just
real big step back, and I don't think that was the point
yeah.
you was making. I think that's
Yeah,
how
yeah.
they look at it, and
Yeah.
that's a problem. When I get this team is not seasoned, I get it,
Mm-hmm.
but you cannot act like the regular season doesn't mean shit when they play that well. Like I'm
Yeah.
a big fan of what they do, and defensively, I think they're gonna really lock up and force OKC, force the Warriors to really
Yeah.
earn it on that side of the floor. And when
Yeah.
you can do that and score the way y'all do, I don't see
Mm-hmm.
how they lose this series. So that's
Yeah.
fuck a hot take. That I'm going Kings in 5.
So I agree with you on that. I think one of the things um that the Warriors for some reason, and I don't remember like how different their bench was from last year to this year. I didn't think they lost that many pieces. But correct me if I'm wrong. Gary Payton the second, is he balling out yet?
He's still sort of coming off of an injury. I'm not even sure he's
Yeah.
getting much playing time, to be honest.
That's what I was thinking because I haven't seen any Warriors games since the
Shout out to the
trade.
mitten. That's a good
Yeah.
nickname.
Yeah.
Kind of got born into it, but that's a good nickname.
Wait, hold up. Is that his nickname?
No, but so a
You
lot
just
of
going
people
on that?
call him that. A lot of people call him that. The
I've never
mitten.
heard that before.
Great, bro.
That's hilarious. No,
Yeah.
so I agree with you. I don't think that they have a great bench, but that's the reason why I'm saying I think Draymond is doing themselves a disservice by just overlooking them. Because he's doing it, and to be honest, I think Clay's doing it too. I think Clay's doing it a little bit too. If that's the actual mentality over there, I wouldn't be surprised that if they lose this series. The reason why I don't think they're going to lose this series is because narratively, it is horrible to say that the champions just got knocked down in the first round by
Yep.
the Kings.
By a team that hasn't been here for 20 plus years, literally. But that leap is
But
legitimate. Like this leap is legitimate. I'm buying
to
in.
your point,
I'm really not gonna sell just because this is the first time. Like they are battle. They've had close games that they come out
they
the other
have.
side of multiple times
They
this
have.
season. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
and they're
hyping you.
not
I'm
scared.
sorry. I
No,
keep cutting
they're
you
not
off, bro.
scared either. No, you're good, but they're not scared either. And on top of to further your point, I think if I'm not mistaken, offensively, the Kings this year are better than any of the Warriors championship years statistically, if I'm not mistaken. So it wouldn't be. I think that's the offensive rating though.
Mhm.
But in 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 all honesty, if there was no narrative in this, and if I didn't think that referees could screw teams over, I could say the same thing. The Warriors lose in 5 or 6. But they just because they don't travel well. They just don't travel
Mhm.
well. I like. There's no way you can tell me they don't have home court advantage, and they go against a team like that. I just don't see them beating the Kings.
Yeah. I don't blame you. I think it took everything in me to make this pick because you know how I think. Based
Yeah,
on how I
yeah,
think, especially last year, it will
yeah.
make sense for me to pick the Warriors. I just feel like all year they've had a sort of disdain for the rest of the league. And it's just almost like, oh, we are who we are. And even if we end up in
Mm-hmm.
the eighth seed, even if we're in the play-in, like we'll be fine. And I really don't subscribe to that. So
Look. I put it like this: whoever comes out of this matchup is beating who's ever coming out the next one. Who's ever coming out. I mean, if it's Memphis, well, it's gonna be Memphis. They're beating
yeah.
Memphis.
Ooh,
Whoever
ooh.
wins this matchup is beating Memphis.
I'm so hyped. I'm so hyped. Next up, we're looking at the 3-6 matchup right across the pond. We have the Sixers going up against the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah,
A lot of grudge match stories here, right?
it
Like a lot of
is. Yeah. Mikel has a chip on his shoulder, of course, because he got drafted by the Sixers and was a part of their roster for like 15 minutes. Um,
yeah.
the Sixers
James
should not
Harden, the
lose.
James Harden
Oh,
debacle, right?
I forgot about that. Yeah, yeah. Um, the Sixers should definitely win this series. However, if it's literally just Embiid that's going off, if Harden is not doing his thing, which has been a good portion of this season, where
I
he's not
disagree.
played up to that
I
standard. No,
disagree.
I'm saying up to that standard. I'm not saying he hasn't been a contributor. He has not been impactful, but to his standard, like the Houston Harden,
That guy's gone. But I
that
think
guy's gone.
he
But that's the
has
standard. That's the
he
standard, though.
I agree. But he has lived up when he has played. Remember, it's been such a short window.
Oh, for
I
sure.
think he's played on an all-star level when he's played,
Oh yeah, yeah,
personally.
yeah. I'm not saying that Harden is washed, but I'm just saying like there's times where in the playoffs
Specifically. Yep.
specifically where he has disappeared. If that were to happen in this series, I don't know that they win. I don't know. But they're not losing to the Nets. They're just not losing to the Nets. And I hate that for Mikel. I hate that for Cam. And I hate that for Spencer.
For
But
sure.
they're not winning. They're not winning this. They're
It's all
not winning
fair.
this. They're not.
Whew. So what is it? Sixers and what?
Let's just make it sound nice. I think Sixers are 6,
Six. I like that. I just want
but
to
that could
say
go
shout out to
7.
Mikel. Yeah, shout out to Mikel Bridges. I never thought he had this in him, right? Like I knew he had
Yeah.
offensive brilliance, and I've seen it in spots with the Suns. But to
Mm-hmm.
this level, to be the guy,
Yeah.
I think this says a lot. And once again, I'm not trying to talk shit, right? I'm not trying to say anything bad about him, but I think this says a lot about opportunity in the NBA and how it
Mm-hmm.
really does matter what is expected of you. Because if at the
Yes.
end of the day it's not expected of him to do these things, he's not going to go out there trying to chuck up the amount of shots that he has been with the Nets. But it ain't chucking
Mm-hmm.
if they hitting, right? Like
Yeah.
he's been balling. Like he has been balling in a way that makes you squint at the stat sheet. Like, is this
Yeah.
really what I'm seeing? Because he's still keeping that same intensity on a defensive end, which is very hard to
Yeah.
do. Like for him to take on this load, do I think this is something that's sustainable, especially against this team in the playoffs? No, not at all. It's what it's gonna take, right, to make this series interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan of the Nets. I'm rooting for them and their comeback story, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think there's a lot of guys on this team that earn it in a way that the Nets philosophy has never aligned with, right? Is that a good way
Mm-hmm.
to put it?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yes, it
so
is.
I'm a fan of the players versus the organization. Like I
Yeah.
don't want if anything, I kind of want them to fuck up because of how forthright they've been about trying to buy a team. But
Yeah.
I'm just bought in with a lot of the guys in this roster. I'm a big fan of Cam Thomas. I think he doesn't get the respect he deserves as well. I think the fact
Mm-hmm.
that he doesn't like once it's not even a thing of he went off this game so he deserves it. It's more of a like the dude is a dog, and if you
He's
ask
a
him to
dog.
do it, he's gonna easily get 40. Like easily. I've
Yeah.
watched a lot of these games.
Yeah.
Easily get 40. So man, I
And
want
shout
to
out to
root for the
Jacques Vaughn.
Nets. Yeah, shout out to Jock Vaughn big time. I want to root for
Yeah.
the Nets because of everything they've been through and where they're at. But I'm just a big fan of the Sixers team, and I think this is the moment for them to really show that they are here as a team. Because if not, and if Harden disappears at any point in this playoffs, that's all anyone's going to be talking about in the offseason, about how they
Oh
need to
yeah.
fix that. And I think he's a free agent, right? If
I
I'm not
believe so.
mistaken. Yep.
I
So
believe so. It's either that or he's
this
got one more year.
this is time to nut up or shut up, even if he does have another year, because it's been the
Yeah.
same issue each time. And third seed should be good enough for you to at least try to push for Eastern Conference Finals bid. So, man,
Yeah.
a lot of pressure on the Sixers in this series.
What you got?
Give me the Nets in 7.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh my God, I love that. You know
I'm
why? Because
swinging, baby. I'm swinging today.
I love that because I think it's possible that the Nets can win this series. I just didn't want to sound like a hater, but I do think it's possible they can win this series. Are they going to? I don't think so. But
I like their
everything,
bigs,
yeah,
man. I like their bigs, man. Claxton's a
bro,
beast.
Claxton is nice. Claxton's nice. He's just not gonna
man.
be able to hang with Embiid though,
Mm-hmm.
and he doesn't need to.
Exactly.
He doesn't need to. I think if
Every
you
everyone
allow
else needs to get stopped. Yeah, literally.
everyone else needs to get stopped, yeah. So I let him do what he's gonna do and just stop everyone else.
You know who I'm looking at this series the most? Because
Who?
everyone's gonna say James Harden. I'm looking at you, J. Cole. Tobias Harris.
Thank
Get
you,
it together. Get it
bro.
together.
Bro, I don't like, and this is not even. I don't even blame the Sixers so much for giving him a contract. I blame them for giving him that contract.
Mm-hmm.
I blame them for not choosing Jimmy Butler.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Like the obvious things to do were there at that moment. The obvious things
Bro,
that
if
they
they
needed
had
to do.
Jimmy and Harden and Joel Embiid, they might have fucked around and got a ring by now, bro. For
I
real.
don't look, to be honest, I don't know if they would have had Harden.
Yeah, because a lot of dominoes would have to fall. But still.
Yeah, I don't know if they would have had Harden, but let's just say that's their big three, just for argument's sake. That's a scary thing to have,
Bro.
that's a scary team right there. I think that team would be what Miami thinks they are.
That's a good one. I like Tobias Harris though. Like I'm not here to talk shit.
I
He
know,
is top
I like him
five.
too.
If I look back on all my fantasy basketball leagues, he's probably in the top 5 of players I've ever drafted. Because I
Yeah,
always
yeah, yeah,
draft
yeah,
him late
yeah,
round, and he always
yeah,
cooks for me. So I'm not trying to talk shit. I just feel like
yeah.
he hasn't played up to the contract, and he has been regressing the last 2
Right,
years from what I have seen. So
right.
if I'm wrong, once again, if y'all got smoke for me, please, I would love to hear your argument. But I just feel like he's falling apart on a deal where you should be trending upward.
Yeah,
Crazy, man. And then when you
yeah.
consider the James Harden shaky factor,
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Like there's potential here, but once again, I know this pick can look crazy in a couple of weeks. I know, trust me. I'm way less confident in this one than I am in the Sacramento pick. But sometimes you gotta let your nuts hang, man. So with that
Hey,
being
bro,
said,
I'm with it.
hey yo, bro, hey yo.
Oh
Next
man, no,
up,
no.
bro, I didn't
Oh
do it.
God,
I'm just saying,
if
I didn't do it.
if
You did.
Mariah watches this, man.
Man really
She
said
gonna
I'm with it. That's diff,
she's
bro.
gonna
That's
call me
diff.
up.
Oh
I'll say
man.
I'm with the pick. I like that. I like that.
Yes, sir. I'm glad for the clarification. Next up,
Yeah.
Suns versus Clippers. My favorite series to theory craft in my head about.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lead the dance if that's okay with you. Can I
Please,
lead the dance on
please,
this one?
please.
The Suns have to prove themselves as a team, regardless of the fact that they are now a super team. They have to prove that they can coexist. They have not done that yet. I don't
Yeah.
care that they've been flawless since he's joined the org. I don't care. You would expect that. It's playoff time,
Yeah.
right? It's a different time of the season. I have genuinely been surprised with all the moves that they've made that they've been able to keep up defensively. I think a lot of their players, specifically their young guys, really embraced that side of the court that allowed them to make these moves. Like all respect, I think they have the hustle. Monty Williams is going to be a fucking phenomenal coach no matter what team he's on. So I
Mhm.
believe in this team, but I do think they still have to prove themselves
Yes.
in this matchup against the Clippers. The craziest shit is that the Clippers need to prove themselves right now too. Like
Yeah, they
this
do.
is this is like Phoenix don't have to figure it out right now. The
Hmm.
Clippers need to figure it out right now. And I just think the deck is stacked against the Clippers in a way that makes me want to root for them, right? Makes them the underdog, makes it the exciting story. I just think defensively, there's no way they can keep up with this Suns team before hot take before the KD trade. So now you have KD in the mix. You got problems. So I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of Paul George. I'm a big fan of Kawhi. It's gonna take a Herculean effort for them to make this a competitive series, let alone to win. I honestly believe that. I'm going with the Suns in 6.
Paul George still coming off that injury.
Yep. Kawhi is too. Don't
Um,
forget. Regardless of how
Kawhi
much
is
he's
too.
played,
Forgot about that.
he's
Yeah.
still coming off of it too.
Well, Paul George is definitely not playing game one.
Yep.
So
Which is huge.
that's huge. I'm gonna be honest, bro. I think the Clippers are in an identity crisis right now. They put all their eggs in one basket, which was Kawhi and PG leading them to the promised land. Um, they they believed that that duo, rightfully so. I'm not saying this it was a bad move, but they believe that that duo is what Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown are. Right? That's what they. That's the impact that they thought they were going to get. Um, it's not worked out for them, and don't think it's going to work out for them this year. I do not see them being Phoenix. I do not see them being Phoenix, and especially if you don't have all hands on deck. So I I'm not a big believer in Phoenix right now, either, because to me depth means a lot. They're not the deepest team, even though you have KD, Book, and Aiton, right? CP as well. But they're not the deepest team. So I think going further into the playoffs, that's going to kind of like show itself a little bit. Um, but for this matchup, I don't see how they lose this.
Mm.
I'm going Phoenix in 5.
I was close. I was close to doing it. I just think they're going to show a lot of heart in this series, personally. But
I
I
agree.
like it.
I think they'll show heart, but I like it's just not there for them. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
not. And I think that they're gonna end up having to break this team up. Sad is sad because this team showed so much promise on paper,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just not there for them. And like
Yeah.
at some point, you just gotta understand it's not working because
They collectively got old, like together. Like together
fast
they
too,
got old. Yeah. I
fast
love Russ. Shut up,
and
man. Russ is a factor I didn't even mention in
yeah,
this because I love the
yeah,
way he's playing on the Lakers.
yeah. No, I think he's a great player. Like this is not in any way, shape, or form a shot at these guys individually. I just don't think collectively they're going to do what they think they're going to do, right? They've not made the Western Conference Finals with this roster. I don't see how, how, if let's say they let's say we're right and Phoenix loses, I mean, wins this series. What's the next step for them?
Yeah.
Do you continue with this? Because I don't see it working. Like, why would you do that? And I don't think Ty Lue is the problem.
Yep.
Again, it's not the coaching thing. It's just the roster. I think you need to get a little younger. You know, if you're able to keep PG and Kawhi together and just kind of like rebuild the bench a little bit and get younger, cool. I don't know how they do it. You know, I don't know. I don't know. I think it might be time for one of those guys to be traded.
Yep. I agree. And if it's going to be anyone, it's probably going to be PG. But we'll
It's
see.
PG for sure.
We'll see.
It's
I'm.
PG for sure.
I
Because
like
you're
a
not
lot of
trading the
guys on this
champion.
team, right? A lot of OKC roots here. A lot of OKC
Mm-hmm.
roots here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. And honestly, I'll be surprised if Kawhi is a Clipper in 2 years. Just saying.
Me
But
too.
next up, Cavs versus the Knicks. Another insanely fun theory craft
That's gonna be
series.
fun. That's gonna be fun.
Go ahead, bro. Tell me who you like it.
I like Cleveland. I like Cleveland. I think they will win this series, but I think it's not gonna be an easy win. I think I think it's I'm gonna go ahead and just say Cleveland is 7. I'm just going to say it because I think that home court is going to play a big factor every time they play.
Yep.
I think it's going to be very interesting. And I think what Cleveland has is good. But I think, well, I should say I think what New York has is good in terms of like their nucleus and stuff like that. I just think that they're going to run up into the better team, and home court is just going to play a factor in that.
All fair.
So
All
that's it.
fair. I love how brief you were because I can add a little bit here. I
Yeah.
think quickly is the call me crazy. I think quickly is the third best player in the series. And I think that matters big
Oh
time.
wow,
Big
wow.
time.
Top two.
Like I
Who's your top two?
Mitchell's won 100%. And I think at this point of his career, Jalen Brunson's too. I genuinely believe that.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think I value quickly in this matchup more than I value Randall. And
Me
playoff
too.
Randall has not been a good thing. Trust
No,
me, has not
no.
been a good thing at all. Um, the cynic in me likes to root against the Knicks, so I just wanted to let that out there. There might be some bias here. I just feel like the Cavs are better as a unit, right? But also like their offensive upside. I feel like in a lot of ways Garland hasn't really played up to that level at this stage of the season, which you logically makes sense, right? You have to take a step back when you're bringing in someone that's bringing so much, right? Mitchell literally best career year for him, right? Like better
Yeah,
than
yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah,
ever looked.
yeah.
So it makes sense that you would regress a little bit in that way. I'm interested to see whether or not what I said it comes to be the truth. Because if Garland can step up in a big way, right, in this series and be the third best player, give me Cavs in 6. Like I don't even think it goes 7.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't believe that with the way the roles have been sorted out and the way it's all played, I don't believe he is that guy anymore. And I think quickly has quickly become an all-star level player for the Knicks.
Yeah.
And just a guy that the city embraces, right? Like everyone hates RJ Barrett. Like it's funny that we were having that conversation earlier because
It's
everyone just
weird.
hates RJ Barrett.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, I I would be surprised honestly if this is a non-competitive series either way. Like I think there's going to be
Mm-hmm.
some back and forth here. I think both teams are going to grow from this experience. But Knicks in the mud is just what I know. So give me Cleveland 6.
I like it.
But all right, bro. this is probably a record-setting episode, right? Like this
I think
probably
so.
probably the
I think
longest
so.
episode we've ever done, but I just have to say this is probably one of my favorite episodes we've ever done across
Yeah.
all TSG. This has
Yeah.
been insane. My phone is blinging crazy right now. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. You can get my socials on Twitter and Negrong MMA. Make sure you check out what we have going on. A lot of stuff on the horizon. And make sure you follow the brand at OTS Media Co. on all platforms, as well as OTS Media on YouTube. Instagram, Chris Negron _. I'm so sorry I got to check out abruptly and leave you like this, but take us home,
Yes,
Derrick.
sir. Yes, sir. You can follow me at Derrick_OTS. That's DERRICK. Like Chris said, please follow the brand, all social media platforms, OTS Media Co., OTS Media on YouTube. Hit that like button, subscribe, notification bell, whatever podcast platform you listen to us on. Subscribe if you have not done so. Let us know what you guys think, and we will catch you all next time. Peace.